Chapter 565. Finally getting rid of the five ghosts and Ing Ho's pursuit, Lin Jun immediately checked the surrounding star map. Their energy blocks were definitely running out, and the fastest way to buy energy blocks was not from the Fire Qilin Sacred Planet. After all, after a month of flying, it would be better to buy energy blocks from the nearby life planets rather than from the Fire Qilin. After all, energy blocks were sold as long as the life planets were connected to the universe. After checking the star map, Lin Jun immediately locked onto a planet. According to my previous flight route, they must be going to Tianbei star at this time, which is about 4 or 5 days away from here. It may take 10 days to go back and forth. And 5 days away, there's a planet called Magnolia Star. There's a wormhole 3,000 miles away from that planet that leads to Qilin Sacred Planet. I can go there to buy fire crystals, and it will be delivered soon. After determining the route, Lin Jun immediately accelerated and went straight to Magnolia Star. Magnolia Star, a small planet named for its production of magnolia flowers. The population of this planet was about 3 billion, almost half of that of Earth, but the environment was beautiful and the climate was pleasant. There were clear oceans and rivers on the planet, and the land was densely forested, making it very suitable for living. Because there was a space channel nearby that led to Qilin Sacred Planet, transportation here was convenient. Occasionally, some warriors or officials would come here for vacation. Lin Jun's battleship landed on the bank of a small river on Magnolia Star. After putting it away, he waited here for the arrival of the delivery man. When he came to Magnolia Star, Lin Jun had already made an appointment to deliver the goods here. In less than 20 minutes, 500 billion fire crystal cores were delivered to Magnolia Star. After smoothly delivering the goods, Lin Jun sat cross-legged on the river bank and immediately began to absorb the energy. The phantom of the black hole beast appeared in the air, and it looked extremely terrifying from a distance. A huge black hole, like a vortex, swallowed all the energy of the fire crystal cores. The whole process lasted 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, Lin Jun opened his eyes. He stretched out a finger and gently flicked it, and a medium blue flame jumped on his fingertip. At this moment, he felt a little tight in his throat. It really wasn't easy. It had been 8 years since he started in the Chaotic Star River. For 8 years, Lin Jun had been striving for this goal. Only today did he possess a medium blue flame. The intensity of this flame had already surpassed that of Little Phoenix. It was enough for her to be reborn. It's about time to return to the Chaotic Star River. Lin Jun rose to his feet and prepared to leave the white magnolia orchid through the wormhole to return to the Qilin Holy Planet, and then return to the Chaos Star River. But as soon as he got up, Crazy suddenly said, "Master, the wormhole to the Qilin Sacred Planet has been sealed. News has come from the dimensional universe that the Magnolia Planet is under martial law." "Oh, martial law? What kind of martial law?" "Starting from the ground, everything within 200,000 kilometers of space is being monitored. Someone is coming to besiege Magnolia and search for her." "Master, the surveillance system has been activated. Through the spaceship's radar system, I can see that the space outside has been completely sealed off." Lin Jun hurriedly glanced at the spaceship's radar system. Sure enough, the periphery of the Magnolia Planet was densely packed with interstellar battleships. If a light-speed spaceship wanted to enter a parallel universe, it needed space to accelerate. It couldn't enter in a short time. Normally, this distance would be 1 million kilometers. But now, 200,000 kilometers was sealed off. It was undoubtedly to prevent any light-speed spaceship from leaving the Magnolia Planet. Once a spaceship accelerated along the planet's surface, space would discover it and open fire. Therefore, Lin Jun's light-speed spaceship was basically useless. Lin Jun's maximum teleportation distance was a little more than 100,000 kilometers. The first landing point would be immediately discovered and would attract the enemy's cannons. Once he was attracted by the cannon's firepower and couldn't teleport a second time, the enemy's experts would swarm over and kill Lin Jun. "How can this be? They're targeting me." Lin Jun was stunned for a moment, then realized that the situation was not good. When Fifth Ghost spaceship didn't follow, Lin Jun thought that they had run out of energy blocks and went to Nether Moon to replenish them. Now, it seemed that this was a deliberate trick of the enemy. They must have seen through Lin Jun's tactics and deliberately pretended to run out of energy to let Lin Jun fly first. In any case, they had locked onto Lin Jun's position and were quietly following behind. They were in the dark while Lin Jun was in the light. It was normal that they didn't know of the enemy's arrival. And because of the wormhole, the Magnolia planet was the best place to ambush. The enemy came from the Kirin's sacred planet and quickly surrounded the Magnolia planet while Lin Jun wasn't paying attention. This time, it was like catching a turtle in a jar. Lin Jun forced himself to calm down. He was too careless. He didn't expect the enemy to be so cunning that they could design such a trick. There was no doubt that there should be other people from the 7 great malefic planets among the people surrounding the Magnolia planet. If the 7 great malefic planets all came, with Lin Jun's current strength, it was absolutely impossible to resist. It seems that I can't leave this Magnolia planet for the time being. No, I have to think of a way as soon as possible. I can't be found by them. At least I have to hide first. Lin Jun's mind began to quickly think of a way to solve the current problem. Ha ha, Inghua, your brain is still good. You fooled Lin Jun with a small trick. Now he is completely locked in a Magnolia planet by us. There is no way out. Fifth Ghost laughed. At this moment, he was in a very good mood. He had completely trapped Lin Jun in the Magnolia planet. It was like he had been walking a dog for more than a month. Inghua also had a smile on her face. It's simple. When Lin Jun played us for half a month, I knew what he was up to. He just wanted to see when our spaceship would run out of energy. I chose this place a long time ago and waited for him to come to this part of the universe. That way, as long as we stay in a good spot, the only place he could go would be the Magnolia Palace. There is a wormhole here. Our people can come from the Kirin's sacred planet and directly surround this place. I want to see how he can use his long-distance teleportation this time. How can he let the spaceship enter a parallel universe? This time, you definitely contributed the most. But let's wait for a while. Jidu will be here soon. This time, except for Boss Luo Ho, the other 6 of the 7 malefic stars are all here. We will not give Lin Jun any chance. Yes, he is nowhere to go now. We are not in a hurry to catch him. Jidu will be here in a few hours. At that time, we will be safe. Several spaceships were scattered in the starry sky. 7 kills, defeating armies, and Yu Ing of the 7 malefic stars had already arrived. Together with Fifth Ghost and Inghua, they had already surrounded the Magnolia planet. They were waiting for Jidu to arrive so that they could immediately go to the planet to catch Lin Jun. I have an idea. Lin Jun, who had been thinking for a long time by the river, suddenly thought of a problem. The shape-shifting skill. The shape-shifting skill was a strange book. It could even be said to be a book used by low-level warriors. The only function of this book was to rely on the star power to shape-shift. Warriors could change their forms. For example, they could turn into stones, flowers, small animals, and so on. They could even turn into humans. To put it bluntly, this technique relied on the star power as a disguise. As long as the opponent's star power swept over, and it was 1/3 higher than yours, then your transformation would be exposed, and you would be seen through at a glance. Moreover, this 1/3 had to be something simple. If you turned into a human, people similar to you would be able to see through you easily. However, the shape-shifting skill had an advantage. When in a static state, one's aura could be restrained to the greatest extent. If the opponent had some tracking secret technique, it would be restrained to the greatest extent. It would be very difficult to be discovered. He knew about this shape-shifting skill in his previous life. However, because its practicality was too low, almost no high-level warriors would learn this thing. This was because those with high strength did not need a shape-shift. Those with low strength would be easily discovered if they shape-shifted. However, this skill today seemed to be able to save his life. Although the wormhole was sealed, no one would dare to seal the spaceship of the Dimensional Universe Corporation. The Dimensional Universe Corporation would also not participate in the battle between warriors. They could still deliver the goods. I hope they won't attack me for the time being. Give me some time to get this book. As long as I get this book, I will have hope to continue hiding here. The shapeshifting skill book was not difficult to find. It was not expensive either. It only cost a few Qilin coins. It was not even as expensive as the delivery fee. After Lin Jun found this book, he immediately bought it and requested the other party to deliver it immediately. After adding the corresponding amount of money, the other party delivered the book. Lin Jun did not go anywhere. The other party knew where he was. It was useless to run now. He might as well wait on the beach for the people from the Dimensional Universe Corporation to arrive. After an hour, the delivery team arrived. The enemies in the sky had not launched an attack yet. Lin Jun heaved a huge sigh of relief. The book was a thin booklet. The content was very simple. For the current Lin Jun, learning it was not difficult. In a short while, Lin Jun had already mastered the shape-shifting skill. For the shape-shifting skill, the simpler the object, the more difficult it was to transform. The effect of restraining astral power was also the best. At the moment, they are 200,000 kilometers in space. Although they know my location, this should not be the best distance. I just need to shape-shift into something smaller and quickly leave this place. Perhaps it will be difficult for them to lock onto my position. After pondering for a while, Lin Jun squatted on the ground. His body immediately shrank rapidly and turned into a swift. Swift was a bird that flew very fast. Not only did it exist on Earth, but it also existed on planet White Magnolia. Lin Jun transformed into a swallow and flapped his wings twice. Then, he stuck close to the ground and began to fly rapidly along the river. Passing through flowers and trees, through forests and swamps, Lin Jun had already become one with the environment. Chapter 566. In space, Yinghua, who was leaning against the chair, suddenly sat up. What's going on? Fifth Ghost was stunned by Yinghua's action. What are you doing? Why are you so surprised? That's not right. I clearly placed a tracking mark on Lin Jun's body, and it was showing Lin Jun's location just now. Why is it getting weaker and weaker? I can barely sense his existence. No way. The tracking mark can only be removed by force if one's star power is higher than yours. Although Lin Jun is strong, his star power is definitely lower than yours. We all know that. That's true, but I can't feel the position of his mark. He has left his original position. He's moving very fast. Oh my God, I can't feel him at all. He's too far away. Yinghua frowned as she spoke. Obviously, Lin Jun's action was beyond her expectation. No, Mark. What should we do? No, we can't wait in space. I have to go to the ground. If I don't get close to Lin Jun, I can't feel the position of the mark at all. You have to know that although my star power is stronger than his, it's not by much. This kid has too much potential. Fifth Ghost thought for a moment, but stopped Yinghua, who was about to leave the spaceship immediately. Yinghua, I don't think you should be anxious. Lin Jun has nowhere to go now. He must still be on Magnolia Planet, but I don't know how to temporarily hide the tracking mark, but I believe you can still find him if you get close. But if we go down now, we may fall into his trap. The defense in the sky will be relaxed, and he may be waiting for such an opportunity to escape from Magnolia Planet. If he escapes now and flies along the parallel universe, where can we find him? Fifth Ghost's words reminded Yinghua, and she calmed down at this moment. You're right. I'm a little anxious. If we want to track Lin Jun, we need at least 4 people to defend in space. 2 people go down to track him. If I go down alone, it's still unknown whether I can catch Lin Jun. If 2 people go down, there will be a loophole in the defense. Yes, so we have to wait for Jidu to come. When he comes, we'll go down and chase him. The 4 of them will guard the space. This is the only way to be foolproof. Yinghua sat down again. Okay, let's wait. I hope Jidu can come faster. Their caution, in fact, bought Lin Jun some time. Because no one came to chase, Lin Jun was thousands of kilometers away from where he had been before. Lin Jun stopped on a tree branch only after the pair of wings were exhausted from flapping. Compared to flying, it's harder to be discovered when I'm still. I believe that if I keep this state, Yinghua and Fifth Ghost will not be able to find me unless they are within 100 meters of me. Although I still can't escape from Magnolia Star for the time being, I'm absolutely safe for a short time. It's such a big planet. I don't believe that they can search every 100 meters, not to mention that I can move. After being safe for the time being, Lin Jun was not in a hurry. He didn't know how long these people could stay on Magnolia Star. Anyway, he couldn't leave for the time being. He might as well stay here and cultivate in peace for a while. The gap between him and Fifth Ghost was not very big. If he could make some more breakthroughs, maybe he wouldn't have to run away. He could turn the tables and defeat them. Anyway, there were still 2 years before the resurrection of the little phoenix. During this time, he could cultivate in peace. Master Jidu. Greetings, Master Jidu. Fifth Ghost, and Inghua stood up and greeted the middle-aged man who came over. The middle-aged man was wearing a black robe with a little bit of starlight floating on it. His face was dark, and there was a fierce look in his eyes. It was not an act, but a kind of fierceness that came from the man's bones. In fact, each of the 7 great malefic stars had a fierce personality. Otherwise, it would be impossible to get the inheritance of the malefic stars. In order to achieve their goals, they would do anything. There were so many warriors in the 68th district. Under their management, they were as stable as Mount Tai. This showed their means. After Jidu arrived, he sat down and asked, "Where's Lin Jun?" "Master, it's like this." Inghua immediately told him about Lin Jun. She told Jidu that Lin Jun was hiding his tracking aura, but he must still be on this planet. They had to go down and look for him. Well, in this case, Lin Jun must be found. But according to what you said, this kid has good means of hiding. You may not be able to find him for a while. Master, don't worry. Even if the soil of this Magnolia Star is turned over inch by inch, I must find the whereabouts of Lin Jun. He can't escape. Good. It's good to have this determination. The fleets that came this time are all under the command of the 7 great malefic stars. Even Boss Luo Ho has sent a fleet to help. We can afford to stay here for a long time, but you have to try to be as fast as possible. You know, Luo Ho's temper is not very good. If you don't do things well, you may make him unhappy. As far as I know, Boss Luo Ho is about to advance to the Star Domain stage. If you make him unhappy, you can do whatever you want. Please rest assured, Brother Luo Ho, Brother Jidu, Lin Jun can't escape. Fifth Ghost and Inghua patted their chests and promised Jidu, then left the spaceship and went straight to Magnolia Star. The surrounding fleets surrounded Magnolia Star tightly. They would never give Lin Jun a chance to escape. Jidu also believed that as long as they gave Fifth Ghost and Inghua some time, there would be no problem to catch Lin Jun. A few minutes later, Fifth Ghost and Inghua had arrived on Magnolia Star. This was the place where Lin Jun had stopped to deliver the goods. Fifth Ghost, Lin Jun stopped here before. At that time, I didn't come to catch him, but later his star power became weak and gradually disappeared. Then can you determine which direction he went? Inghua looked and then pointed in a direction. This way, when he first left, he might not know how to control his power. Some of his aura leaked out, but I can guarantee that he definitely went in this direction. Good. Since that's the case, let's search in this direction. Remember to release your astral power and don't miss anything. He's probably hiding in some corner. Maybe this kid believes that the most dangerous place is the safest place. Maybe he'll come back here after circling around. What you said makes sense. Then let's expand the search area to 100 kilometers according to this central point. Let's search within this area first. After their discussion, they immediately released their star power. Each of them was responsible for the search range of 100 meters. Then they began to search like a net. However, they didn't know that Lin Jun never believed that the most dangerous place was the safest place. For warriors, a dangerous place was dangerous because everyone had spirit power and star power, which could cover a large range. How could a dangerous place be safe? It might be possible for mortals, but it was impossible for martial artists to do so. Fifth Ghost and Inghua had no other choice. It was always more difficult to find someone than to hide. Lin Jun wanted to hide, but they didn't have the exact coordinates. They could only search bit by bit without missing anything. At this time, Lin Jun was already thousands of miles away, but they didn't know, so they could only use this stupid method. They first searched within 100 kilometers, which took them a day. Inghua, I'm sure there's something wrong with our search. Linjun shouldn't stay here. He might have gone far away. We should follow what you said and search in that direction. I think so too. Well, let's move forward side by side and expand the search range to 500 meters. Then, we'll search along this direction for a while. Fifth Ghost and Inghui used the same method again and searched along the direction Linjun had gone. However, Inghui had only sensed Linjun for a short time before Linjun disappeared. It was impossible to find the direction so accurately. 3 days later, after searching for thousands of kilometers using this method, they still found nothing. At this moment, the distance between them and Linjun had widened even further. Hey, what are you two doing? Are you trying to steal something sneakily? I'm telling you, this is the territory of Tianxia Security Company. You better not try to rob this place. Otherwise, I'll call for help. Be careful. You'll be beaten to a pulp. Get out of here. In the distance, a warlord-level warrior wearing a security uniform walked over noisily with a short stick in his hand. It was a sacred weapon. Fifth Ghost and Inghui looked at each other and felt that they could no longer suppress the anger in their chest. For days had passed. The search for Linjun had reached a stalemate. Millions of soldiers in the sky were waiting for news of the two of them, but Linjun was nowhere to be seen. Now, they were being shouted at by this warlord-level rookie. It was like a dragon in shallow water being toyed with by shrimps, or a tiger being bullied by dogs. Damn it, you're asking for it. Before Inghui could finish her words, Fifth Ghost had already rushed over and grabbed the reckless security guard in his hands. What kind of bullshit security company is this? If you piss me off, I'll make your planet go extinct. Die. With a claw, the security guard's heart was crushed. A burst of astral power exploded and smashed the corpse into nothingness. Inform the people of Magnolia Planet. Everyone get moving. Help us find Linjun's whereabouts. If you can't find him, I'll really make their planet go extinct. Chapter 567. Batches of star power discriminators were transported from Kirin's sacred planet to Magnolia Star. These discriminators could identify whether an animal or object had star power or not. How did Linjun disappear? Fifth Ghost and the others had already found the answer. The shape-shifting technique was not a great secret, and they soon discovered it. However, Linjun's star power was very strong. Even if he turned into an object, these bumpkins of Magnolia Star would not be able to find him under the eyes of others. Only this kind of star power discriminator could search for anything with star power. Fifth Ghost ordered everyone to search in a net-like manner, not giving Linjun a chance to hide. Magnolia Star was connected to the universe. Although the residents on the planet were not particularly strong, they were basically martial artists. Among them, there were many warlords and star realms. They could jump and fly. With this kind of discriminator that could cover a range of 100 meters, the search range was very large. Under the threat of the 7 great malefic stars of the arena, the Magnolia Star could not resist at all. All the residents, as long as they could walk, took out their star power identifiers and began a large-scale search across the entire planet. In the desert, on the grassland, on the mountains, on the Gobi Desert, people were searching everywhere with the discriminators. This kind of carpet search would not miss any corner. Even in the rivers, there were divers wandering. Ships were sailing everywhere on the ocean, and trawling nets with discriminators were sweeping in circles. All kinds of aircraft were flying back and forth in the air, not letting go of a bird, a cloud, or a drop of rain. Fifth Ghost and the others did not believe that Linjun could escape under such circumstances. As long as they found anything with star power in a place, he and Inghui would immediately rush over to see if Linjun had transformed. The vigorous dragnet operation had been carried out for 20 days. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. Mom, I don't like this thing. I want to go home. A little girl with 2 pigtails followed behind her mother, holding a star power discriminator in her hand. She pouted her little mouth and walked unhappily. Her mother turned back and said, Yaya, after we finish sweeping this field today, we can go home after meeting up with the people who are sweeping in the opposite field. You must be obedient and pay attention to your earpiece. If it beeps, tell Mom where you see the red dot. Mom, Why are we looking for the red dot? Because that red dot is a bad guy. We can only go home if we find him. But Yaya thinks that those who forced me to come here are the bad guys. Her mother's face changed and hurriedly covered Yaya's mouth. Good girl, don't talk nonsense. Yaya nodded slightly. Yaya knew that things were very serious. Those who had surrounded Magnolia Star looked. Yaya put some distance between herself and her mother and returned to the area she was in charge of. Yaya walked slowly on the grass. After walking for a while, the earpiece suddenly beeped. This sound could not be heard by others. Everyone had something like a mirror in front of them, and on it was the range of their exploration. Yaya immediately saw that there was a red dot right in front of her eyes. Yaya squatted down and looked down at the little thing in front of her. It was a little black frog. It was so black that it didn't have any impurities. Its eyes opened, and there seemed to be a galaxy of stars spinning in them. It looked very mysterious. It was this thing that emitted the star power. Yaya looked down at the little frog, and the little frog looked up at her. Neither of them moved. You are so ugly. You are so black, like a charcoal head. Yaya stretched out her finger and gently pressed the little frog. The little frog was cold and smooth, like a piece of marble. But if you look carefully, you're a little cute. Hee hee. After touching it twice, Yaya was in a dilemma. They have to report immediately when they find star power. But if I report you, you may be taken away. What should I do? The little frog licked Yaya's palm with its red tongue, as if begging her not to betray it. Yaya looked around and made sure no one was paying attention to her. She took a few clumsy steps, took a few pieces of soil, and built a small house. You can live here. You will have a house here, and you won't have to worry about being found out. After putting the little frog in the house, Yaya clapped her hands and stood up. Sister is leaving. Bye, little guy. With that, Yaya took small steps, caught up with the big group in front of her, and followed her mother away. Mom, I've done something meaningful today. Really? What did Yaya do? Hee hee. This is my secret. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. The little frog squatted in the mud house and looked at the crowd that was gradually disappearing. It felt lucky. This little frog was Lin Jun. After knowing that he couldn't leave for the time being, Lin Jun chose to cultivate in peace. His dark star power was slowly increasing, and so was his body's realm. Lin Jun could even turn into sand and plants, which would be harder to find. But sand and plants had a disadvantage, and that was that they couldn't move. Once they met someone searching for them, it would be too conspicuous if they turned into something else. So Lin Jun decided to turn into an animal. When he found someone searching for him, he could still escape quietly. Too big and too small wouldn't work. Lin Jun finally chose to turn into a black frog, which was inconspicuous. But after turning into a frog, he couldn't hide in the soil. Because of his cultivation, he only noticed the crowd when they were in front of him. The crowd had formed an encirclement, and they had to close in before they could stop. There were also people searching in the sky. Furthermore, the detector had a diameter of 100 meters, so there was no way to hide underground. For a moment, Lin Jun was at a dead end, until the little girl named Yaya walked in front of him. Lin Jun was prepared. If the little girl reported his location, he would immediately kill everyone here and quickly find another place to hide. But Lin Jun didn't want to do that unless it was a last resort. The chances of being exposed were too high. It would be easy for the 5 ghosts to catch up with him, and he might be caught. Moreover, Lin Jun didn't want to kill ordinary people. They were also pitiful people. But he didn't expect that the little girl named Yaya didn't report him. She even built a small house for him with mud. Lin Jun heaved a deep sigh of relief as he watched Yaya skipping away. If she could survive this disaster, he would give Yaya a future, an infinitely bright future. After this search, Lin Jun lived a peaceful life for 3 months. After all, searching a planet wasn't a simple matter. After searching here, people still had to look for other places. They wouldn't return in a short period of time. Lin Jun quietly stayed on this grassland, living as a little frog. However, he didn't stop cultivating for a moment. In the 3rd month, Lin Jun's dark star made another breakthrough under the urging of the heart of vegetation. It reached the late stage of the Mesozoic era. This advancement gave Lin Jun another 1,200 points of star energy. After 1,200 star power, it reached 9,000 star power. The clone also increased its strength again, reaching 7,000 star power. Lin Jun's strength reached 16,000 star power when he used star power transfer. This star power was basically the same as the fifth ghost or Inghua. If it was a one-on-one fight, Lin Jun was confident of winning. However, if it was 2 against 1, Lin Jun still wasn't confident. Therefore, Lin Jun didn't act rashly. If he didn't appear, he would have to have an absolute advantage. Otherwise, he would be courting death. After all, the enemies here weren't just the fifth ghost and Inghua. His star power was still slowly increasing, moving towards the late stage of the black hole stage. Only after his star power advanced would Lin Jun have the confidence to leave White Magnolia. After 3 months like this, Lin Jun knew that he couldn't continue to stay in this wilderness. The fifth ghost and the others had lost their patience. They no longer believed in the strength of the residents of White Magnolia. Instead, they started to transfer people from the arena here. The power of the 7 great malefic stars was immeasurable. They ruled the entire galaxy field of the 68th battle zone. It was very easy for them to find helpers. This time, more than 100 million galaxy stage powerhouses had come. Among them, there were more than 10,000 people like the Xianjiang, who had over 10,000 star powers. Every great god with over 10,000 star power led 10,000 nebula stage cultivators to form a team. A total of 10,000 such teams once again began a net-like search on White Magnolia planet. After seeing such a lineup, Lin Jun knew that he had to change his way of hiding. If I want to hide perfectly, I have to turn into a smaller object. Except for things like dust and microbes, I can change into other small things. Living things are too risky. They're the main target of the search, so I can't change anymore. However, non-living things that are too small can't move. This is also a disadvantage. Is there anything that isn't a living thing that can move? Lin Jun's gaze turned to a big river in the distance. The Nalan River was the largest river on White Magnolia planet. It was vast and surging, crossing the continent and flowing into the ocean. I got it. I can turn into a grain of sand. The sand in the Nalan River can mix with countless grains of sand. I don't need to move on my own. The river will carry me forward, and it won't be easy to find me. Even if someone finds out that there's a weak star power here, it won't be easy for them to find me among the countless grains of sand. Besides, they have to be careful of my counterattack. Chapter 568. Pigs. All of you are F*King pigs. Fifth Ghost's angry roar echoed in the spaceship's control room. The large group of god-level warriors around him kept quiet out of fear, not daring to speak. 100 million nebula stage warriors. How powerful is that? It's enough to sweep across an intermediate civilization universe. But on this small Magnolia planet, you've been looking for him for a whole year. Even if it's just a bacterium, you should have found him within a year, right? Have all your years of cultivation gone to waste? Are you just going to let Lin Jun continue to roam free? Fifth Ghost couldn't help but be angry. It had been a year. They had wasted a whole year on Magnolia planet. Jidu had said that it might take some time to find Lin Jun. But who would have thought that Lin Jun would be so difficult to deal with? He had actually hidden himself completely on Magnolia planet. Jidu had talked to him yesterday and told him that Luo Ho was very dissatisfied with him and Inghua, and had a message for them. If you're not up to the task, Luo Ho can replace 2 descendants of the ominous stars. There's no need for good-for-nothings among the 7 ominous stars. This sentence scared Fifth Ghost and Inghua so much that they broke out in cold sweat. If Luo Ho really wanted to kill them, the 2 of them had no chance. Therefore, the only chance to save themselves was to find Lin Jun and kill him. This was to give Luo Ho an explanation, and also to give themselves an explanation. Lin Jun had become their inner demon. If they didn't get rid of Lin Jun, the 2 of them might not have a chance to advance to the star sector level. After venting her anger, Inghua came to Fifth Ghost's side. Fifth Ghost, I don't think we can continue like this. We have to find Lin Jun no matter what. Fifth ghost snorted. Of course, I know we have to find Lin Jun, but how do we find him? Lin Jun might have turned into a rock and drilled into the core of this planet. Are we going to tear this planet apart and look for him? Inghua smiled. Of course not. We're going to turn this planet into ashes. Fifth ghost was stunned. What do you mean? It's simple. I'm 100% sure that Lin Jun is still on this planet, but he's hidden too well. His method of hiding is also very good. We can't find any traces of him. The only way now is to let all the Nebula Stage marshalists here, in addition to the power of the interstellar battleship, work together to burn this planet to ashes. Burn? Burn them all? Of course. Think about it, Fifth Ghost. If Lin Jun doesn't die, then we'll die. Is there any other choice? As for the 3 billion people on this planet, what does their life and death have to do with us? Hearing Inghua's cold words, 5 ghosts couldn't help but shiver. Inghua, you are too cruel. When I said I would wipe out all the races on this planet, I was just joking. But you are serious. Not only will the races be wiped out, but the planet will be wiped out as well. You're giving them no chance of survival. So are you going to do it or not? Of course, why not? It's not like no one has done this before. Now that we have become one of the 7 malevolent stars, let's go to hell with the kindness of women. The two's plan was reported to Jidu, who was already a little impatient, praised them greatly, and immediately agreed to their plan. Therefore, all the marshalists and interstellar battleships who came to Magnolia were ready to attack Magnolia. In the rolling waves, Lin Jun rose and fell with the waves. The sand he turned into had entered the ocean of Magnolia, along with the river, and was now floating on the bottom of the sea with the ocean current. One advantage of this was that he could subtly control the changes in the ocean current, thus avoiding the searchers. Lin Jun was getting better and better at hiding. For a whole year, he hadn't encountered any danger. In the past year, Lin Jun's star power had improved again. Although the dark star and the real body didn't level up again, the star power of the real body still reached 9,700, and the star power of the doppelganger reached 7,500. Under the star power transfer, the 17,200 star power had definitely surpassed the 5th ghost and the others. At this time, even 1 against 2 wouldn't be a problem. A beautiful dolphin let out a childlike song that echoed in the deep sea. When the dolphin swam past him, Lin Jun gently attached himself to the dolphin's back. He wanted to travel on the dolphin's back and swim in this underwater world. In a happy mood, Lin Jun felt that his real body realm had loosened up. I'm about to break through. Lin Jun was pleasantly surprised. After a year, he had finally gained something from his cultivation. The Dark Star's power was about to reach the Black Hole late stage from the middle stage. As long as he reached the Black Hole late stage, Lin Jun wouldn't be afraid of the 7 malevolent stars. Within the Nebula stage, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone, because his real body and doppelganger had both leveled up. A small improvement was almost equivalent to a big improvement. Finally, it's almost done. The day I leave Magnolia is coming soon. Lin Jun thought to himself. After he removed the seal, he would first find Yaya and repay her for saving his life. Just as he was thinking, Lin Jun suddenly felt a scorching heat coming from the top of his head. What's that? Lin Jun looked up with his mind power. Through the clear seawater, he saw a huge fireball in the sky, smashing into the sea. Rumble. A huge wave splashed up as if a huge bomb had exploded in the sea. The surrounding shoals of fish instantly turned white and floated to the surface of the sea with their bellies facing up. The dolphin that Lin Jun was riding was also hit by the heat wave. With a sad cry, it died on the spot. Lin Jun, who had turned into sand, slid down from the dolphin's back and sank into the deep sea. What was that just now? Was it a meteorite? No, there's more. Lin Jun was shocked to find that in the sky, a dense meteor shower had appeared out of nowhere. Countless huge fireballs smashed down with a rumble. The entire Magnolia planet trembled at the first moment. The planet shook under the bombardment of the endless fireballs. Buildings collapsed, airwaves rolled, and the dense flames devoured everything in a frenzy. The sea could still hold on for a while, but the small ponds, reservoirs, and rivers evaporated almost immediately. As for the humans, they had no resistance in the face of such a calamitous disaster. Almost 90% of the people died within a minute. The remaining people were still struggling madly. They used all their strength to put out the fire, hide, and run away. However, the temperature of these flames was even higher than normal flames. These flames were elemental energy flames from the galaxy powerhouses. Among them, there were incandescent, bright white, and bright orange flames everywhere. How could they put out such a fire? Among the flames, there were also energy cannons fired by the interstellar battleships. These cannons had no target at all. In other words, the entire planet was their target. The crazy bombardment did not care about the location. This kind of space weapon hitting the planet was a disaster. Mountains collapsed, the earth cracked, and the magma underground was drawn out, becoming one with the flames in the sky and on the ground. Billowing black smoke covered the entire planet in a minute, turning the beautiful Magnolia planet into a living hell in an instant. Magnolia planet was not without martial artists. Some of them had reached the planet stage and even the star stage. They rushed out of their residences and tried to rush into space. However, their strength was too weak. Facing the interstellar battleships and these powerhouses who were at least at the galaxy stage, their strength was so insignificant. They could not even rush out of the atmosphere of Magnolia planet. In midair, they were burned to ashes by the flames falling from the sky. Why? Why? What did we do? Why are you doing this to me? You devils. You bastards. You can't catch Linjin, so why are you taking it out on us? I will not let you go even if I become a ghost. Ah! People screamed and howled crazily, but in the face of absolute power, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't even vent their anger completely before they were turned into ashes. Their bodies and minds were completely destroyed. They didn't even have the chance to become ghosts. All of this happened too fast and too suddenly. By the time Lin Jun reacted, the entire planet had fallen into a sea of fire. Moreover, Lin Jun could not stop this at all. He could not stop the disaster from happening. However, he had to admit that the disaster was caused by him. If it were not for him, the people of Magnolia planet would still be living happily. However, Lin Jun still had to do one thing. He had to save Yaya. Lin Jun knew the city where Yaya was, but he did not know her specific location. Now that the fire elements were surging, it was very difficult to find Yaya. Planet teleportation. Lin Jun did not care about hiding in sand. He teleported to the sky above the city where Yaya was. This place was already a sea of fire. Lin Jun's spiritual power swept across the entire city like a radar. Over here. Yaya, be careful. Lin Jun's spiritual power saw that in a burning house, Yaya's mother was hugging her and hiding in a bathtub. It was also because of this little water that they were able to live for a little while longer. And at this moment, a fire meteor was directly smashing into their house. Break for me. Dozens of kilometers away, Lin Jun blasted a thunder kill and directly shattered the fire meteor. Although the fire meteor was shattered, the flames still engulfed the house where Yaya was. Lin Jun was shocked and immediately wanted to teleport over. But at this moment, an energy cannon from beyond the sky blasted fiercely at Lin Jun, forcibly interrupting his teleportation. Fifth Ghost and the others had found Lin Jun. Chapter 569. Yaya. Lin Jun let out a loud roar, his eyes instantly turning bloodshot. Yaya was dead. She died in her mother's arms. She died in the endless flames. It could even be said that Yaya died in the hands of Lin Jun. The 7 malevolent stars in the arena were actually so vicious. They would rather bury an entire planet with them so that Lin Jun, would have nowhere to hide. He was angry. He hated, but now, Fifth Ghost and the others were not giving him any chance. Waha, he's out. Look, this Lin Jun finally couldn't hold back and came out. We should have used this move long ago. We should have forced him out long ago. But it's not too late now. Order the interstellar battleships, energy cannons, and laser cannons to aim at Lin Jun. Let's kill this guy. With Fifth Ghost's order, all the interstellar railguns found their targets. Countless energy beams, laser missiles, and laser cannons descended from the sky. But Lin Jun was not so easy to hit. He had planet teleportation. He could move freely on the planet's surface. When the energy cannons arrived, Lin Jun appeared on the other side of the planet. This brat is quick to hide, but this white jade orchid star is only so big. Where can you hide? All the cannons, everyone pay attention. Indiscriminate bombardment, burn with the greatest firepower. From now on, Magnolia Star will only be a name in history. Lin Jun, let's see where you can run to now. The intense cannons once again began to wreak havoc. At this moment, Magnolia Star was like a dough. Countless attacks blossomed on its surface, causing it to be full of holes and depressions. In such an environment, even Lin Jun could not stay. He wanted to kill his way into space and fight it out with these guys. But his current strength was still lacking. He still needed a little more time. Lin Jun took out the two guns in his hands. His body was like a high-speed drill, drilling straight into the ground. At this time, the only place to hide was in the deepest part of the planet. In the past, Lin Jun didn't go deeper because it would destroy the planet. But now, things were different. The white Magnolia Star was dead, and everyone was dead. The planet no longer had any life force. The mountains collapsed, the earth cracked, and the ocean evaporated in the endless flames. Everyone was dead. All the animals were dead. There were no microbes or bacteria that could survive such high temperatures. Only the core of the planet was safe for the time being. The star power pushed Lin Jun's body all the way down, breaking through the surface, the rock belt, the troposphere, and went straight to the planet's core. In the process of diving down, his heart was filled with grief and indignation. His anger was almost uncontrollable. Ever since his rebirth, he had never been so angry. When little Phoenix died, he was sad, incomparably sad. But at that time, the enemy was also dead, so he was not angry. But now, the enemy was behind him, and he could not resist. He had never thirsted for power so much before. He needed more power. Above the sky, 5 ghosts and Inghua laughed. Look, Lin Jun is going to the core of the planet like a mouse. How long do you think he can hold on there? Inghua sneered. How long can he hold on? The core of the planet is also filled with flames and magma. Even if he goes in, he will eventually be burned out. Yes, now the sky is also on fire, the ground is also on fire, and the core of the planet is also on fire. Lin Jun's only ending is to become a roasted suckling pig. Ha! Inghua pondered for a moment. We still can't be careless. If this flame can burn Lin Jun to death, then he is not worth our effort to deal with. I guess he will eventually rush out and fight us. 5 ghosts also nodded. If he comes out, I'm afraid that the interstellar battleship's artillery alone will not be able to kill him. In the end, it will still depend on us. To be precise, it will depend on you and me. Ji-Do and the others are here to help. They will only help us if we can't handle it. That's why we have to be prepared. However, there are so many companions here. If Lin Jun comes out, let these people take the lead. It's good to exhaust Lin Jun's strength. That way, we won't have to expend too much effort. Haha. Of course, it would be a fool not to use cannon fodder. Flames enveloped the entire planet. Looking from a distance, Magnolia Star looked like a star, not a planet. The temperature of the planet's core was getting hotter and hotter, but this was nothing for Lin Jun, who had mastered the medium blue flame. He could survive in this temperature. They went all the way down to the depths of the planet's core. It was all the hottest magma here, and Lin Jun went directly into the magma. At this time, he was the core of the entire planet. Sitting cross-legged in the magma, Lin Jun tried to forget his grief and anger. He was going to do one last cultivation. The Dantian Qi in his body had reached the edge of a breakthrough and was about to enter the black hole late stage. It would be almost complete with one more cultivation. Trying to get rid of distracting thoughts as much as possible, Lin Jun entered a state of cultivation. Streams of star power began to emanate from the mutated black hole and wandered around Lin Jun's body, passing through his limbs and bones, passing through his dantian, passing through the dark star space, and passing through the spiritual sea. Under the drive of star power, Lin Jun's mutated black hole began to rotate in circles. CSISISI. Streaks of dazzling star power erupted from Lin Jun's 7 orifices and every pore on his face. Under the influence of the power of the black hole, Lin Jun's dantian began another round of expansion. Every time the edge of the dantian expanded, it meant that the capacity of the dantian had increased by a level. It could store more star power and was one step closer to the nebulous stage. The black hole stage was a very crucial stage. How big the dantian could expand determined how much one's ability would improve after entering the nebulous stage. However, at the peak of the black hole stage, there would be a calamity. This was the biggest calamity for a martial artist. That was the destruction of the black hole. The black hole evolved into a white hole and became a dot again. After destruction, one would be reborn. If one succeeded, a galaxy would appear in the sky. If one failed, one's body and soul would be destroyed, never to be reborn. Of course, Lin Jun had not reached that step yet. However, as long as he broke through, he would not be far from that step. The star power in the black hole surged more and more violently. The barrier that prevented Lin Jun from breaking through began to loosen. The breakthrough was imminent. Kacha! With a soft sound, the black hole in Lin Jun's dantian swelled twice and suddenly expanded outwards by a full circle. Late black hole stage. The star power surged out crazily from the black hole and filled the dantian in an instant. Chris, monitor my star power value. Yes, Master. Master's star power value was 9,700 previously. Now it has exceeded 10,000 and is still increasing. 10,500, 10,700, 11,000. Lin Jun nodded to himself. The effect this time was not bad. It increased by more than 1,000. As expected, the late black hole stage was more powerful than the middle black hole stage. However, increasing by more than 1,000 was not the end. Lin Jun's final star power value was fixed at 11,500. It increased by 1,800 star power. After his original body increased by 1,800, his doppelganger increased as well. Previously, his doppelganger star power was 7,500. After entering the late black hole stage, his doppelganger increased by 1,200 and reached 8,700. Now, after Lin Jun and his doppelganger's star power integration, the total reached 20,200. It had exceeded the 20,000 mark. The moment he broke through, boom, the planet exploded. In the sky, the crazy flames and energy were still raging. With the continuous bombardment of the energy cannons, Magnolia Planet finally started to fall apart. Pieces of broken planet fragments were reduced to nothingness in the flames. Boom! Give it a good shot. Leave nothing behind. Lin Jun can turn into sand and hide. We can't give him any more chances. The cannon fire of several interstellar battleships finally blasted open the core of Magnolia Planet. The huge ball of light represented the planet's final release of power. It gave off its last radiance in the universe. This planet was going to be destroyed. The surging flames burned everything. The broken pieces were easier to destroy. After the flames were extinguished, Lin Jun would be the last one left. Fifth Ghost and Ing Huo were ready to attack at any time. In front of the two of them, there was a group of martial artists and interstellar battleships ready to attack. This was the vanguard to deal with Lin Jun. Everyone get ready. Lin Jun is about to come out. They held their breaths and looked ahead. The battle was about to start. What is that? A nebulous stage martial artist asked. Everyone saw a strange sight. At the center of the broken Magnolia Planet, a huge monster that was several tens of thousands of meters tall appeared. It had black scales all over its body, 2 long antlers, a black mane, dragon whiskers, a lion's mouth, sharp fangs, and a dark green flame burning as it swung its tail. That looks like a Qilin? It should be a supergalactic beast. That can't be right. Is there a black Qilin? Also, that looks like a phantom. Who is that? Lin Jun? Who cares? Get ready to fire. While they were discussing, the black Qilin-like thing suddenly roared angrily. That was definitely a roar, because everyone could hear the anger in the voice. Then the Qilin turned its head, spread its four hooves, and ran a few steps in this direction. The Qilin spoke. "You bastards! F asterisk asterisk KU. Mother asterisk asterisk curs. Die, all of you." This time, the voice belonged to Lin Jun. However, no one expected him to curse. Roar. After another deafening roar, everyone could clearly see that the mouth of the Qilin was actually a spinning black hole. Chapter 570. The black Qilin that people saw was actually Lin Jun's black hole beast. In that instant, Magnolia Planet had exploded. The unprecedented explosive power had formed an extremely high-temperature flame. The fire at the core of the planet and the fire from the cannons were nothing to Lin Jun. However, when the planet exploded, the power of the fire was unimaginable. At that moment, Lin Jun, who had just broken through, was attacked by the fire. If it was any other time, Lin Jun would have been killed by the fire from the exploding planet. However, at that moment, the black hole's power leveled up. The black hole that suddenly appeared swallowed the fire from the exploding planet. The black hole that could devour anything actually swallowed the fire energy. Lin Jun's fire energy had already leveled up to medium green. After the fire energy was swallowed by the black hole, it immediately surged in his body and filled his fire elemental power. The black hole beast's essence was a mutation of the fire Qilin. Under the stimulation of the fire energy, Lin Jun's body actually started to evolve into the true form of the black hole beast. Although his current star power was still far from the black hole beast's power, at least at that moment, a galactic beast that could create a black hole storm was temporarily formed under the stimulation of the fire energy. The black hole beast that had only appeared once in the entire universe appeared once again. The black Qilin that was bearing its fangs and brandishing its claws was covered in green and black flames. When it appeared, this place was hell. The destruction of the Magnolia Planet, Yaya's death, all of these stimulated the anger in Lin Jun's heart. He continued to vent. If he didn't vent, he felt that he would suffocate to death. The target was very simple. He just had to choose the place with the most people and use his strongest attack to smash it. If one were to ask what Lin Jun's strongest attack was, it would definitely not be the mental evil spirit all, collapsing spear technique, illusion god strike, or natural devour. It was the black hole storm. The black hole storm was even stronger than natural devour. As long as one star power was not as strong as Lin Jun's, and as long as one speed was not as fast as Lin Jun's, no one could escape from the impact of the black hole storm. Now, the strongest power in Lin Jun's body was definitely the fire from the exploding planet. This fire was the main force of the black hole storm. It swept across the sky at sublight speed. Right in front, countless warriors and space battleships were ready to attack Lin Jun. However, they did not expect Lin Jun to use such a big move as soon as he appeared. From the rotating black hole, a flame that was countless times more powerful than the one they had released surged out. The black hole had a strong suction force. They couldn't dodge it. This could be a great tragedy for martial artists. Tens of millions of martial artists had gathered in the sky, and hundreds of interstellar battleships were also suspended here. In the end, this place had become hell. Hundreds of years of cultivation, thousands of years of cultivation, couldn't resist this fire that was comparable to the explosion of a planet. This flame power even exceeded Lin Jun's own flame power. It was a power that burst out in an instant. Lin Jun had just appeared when the black hole swallowed it. Lin Jun hadn't even had the time to digest it. This dark green flame was not a power that should appear in the nebulous stage, especially when Lin Jun was furious. This group of warriors was unlucky. Roar! The loud roar and the flames whistled past. The sky that had been blocked by the black hole storm was instantly cleared, leaving a big hole. Everything within this range, including everything that Lin Jun could see, was destroyed by the black hole storm. Fifth ghost, Ink was shouted from the distant horizon. She felt a chill run down her spine as she looked at the empty sky. Fifth ghost was dead. When Lin Jun's black hole beast phantom appeared, Inghua had a bad feeling. She had heard of the black hole beast before. If Lin Jun's bloodline was this power, then there would be a crazy massacre. Therefore, Inghua chose to teleport immediately. She didn't even have time to inform Fifth Ghost. The situation was urgent, so she didn't even have time to talk. Although she couldn't teleport 100,000 kilometers away, like Lin Jun's planetary teleportation, she could still teleport thousands of kilometers away. She teleported once, then twice. Before she could teleport a third time, a heat wave swept past her. She was lucky enough to escape the range of the black hole storm, but the others were miserable. She even saw Fifth Ghost teleport once, but he couldn't escape at all. He was directly burned to ashes by this ball of fire. One of the 7 fierce stars of the arena, Fifth Ghost, had fallen in the white magnolia starry sky. After killing Fifth Ghost and tens of millions of enemies, Lin Jun didn't have any intention of stopping. Taking advantage of the current momentum, the black hole beast spread its 4 hooves and ran through the void again. It teleported to another place with the most people. The black hole above its head didn't disappear at all. The black hole storm swept through again. A ball of fire filled the sky. It was bleak and desolate. Large numbers of warriors and interstellar battleships were burned to ashes by the black hole storm. After 2 black hole storms, close to 30 million people had died, but Lin Jun was going to do it a third time. No one could stop his unpredictable teleportation. After 3 black hole storms, close to half of the warriors who came to the white magnolia starry sky were dead. After 3 crazy eruptions, the flame power in Lin Jun's body finally calmed down a little. It could be accepted by the flame power in Lin Jun's body. At this time, Lin Jun still didn't stop. The black hole beast opened its frightening mouth again and began to devour the endless sky. Although Lin Jun's realm wasn't high, his tyrannical astral power was almost invincible. The black hole beast's mouth was like a bottomless abyss, swallowing tens of thousands of warriors who weren't strong enough. Tens of thousands of warriors screamed and turned into pocket-sized people, flying into the black hole beast's mouth hundreds of kilometers high. Their final fate was to become nourishment for the Dark Star. There had never been such a massacre before. Many martial artists could swear on their 18 generations of ancestors that they had never seen such a frenzied massacre. Compared to the destruction of the white magnolia starry sky, this method was much more cruel. At least that was what they thought. What kind of people were on the white magnolia starry sky? There weren't any experts on that planet. Even war gods could be security guards. One could imagine how strong they were. In their opinion, the entire population of the white magnolia starry sky added together couldn't be compared to any of their warriors. This was because they were all nebula experts. This was wealth. Strength was wealth. With so much wealth being burned by Lin Jun like garbage and devoured like jelly beans, they couldn't take it anymore. Where is the great god? Where are the 7 malevolent stars? Why do I have to be cannon fodder? I don't want to serve you anymore. Retreat. Run. No one was injured here, only the death toll. When the death toll rose to 70 million, there was basically no one left. The warriors scattered like fireworks, fearing that the terrifying black Qilin would catch up. In the vast starry sky, there were only a few abandoned huge battleships and a lone person standing opposite Lin Jun. This person was Inghua. Fifth Ghost was dead. Inghua was a little dumbfounded. The black Qilin had shocked him too much. He didn't even dare to go up and fight Lin Jun. Only when the army collapsed did he feel that his body was drenched in sweat. At this time, Lin Jun had basically released the excess flames. The flames in his body gradually subsided. The flames from the exploding planet merged with his medium green flames and converged into the dark star in his dantian. However, this didn't mean that Lin Jun's anger had disappeared. It didn't matter whether these underlings died or not. He wouldn't stop until the 7 malevolent stars were all dead. He saw Inghua from afar. This person had placed a tracking mark on him. Without this mark, the white magnolia starry sky wouldn't have perished. How could Lin Jun let him go? Lin Jun even felt that Fifth Ghost's death was too easy for him. This Inghua couldn't die so easily. Crack, 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 crack. After a series of cracking sounds, Lin Jun turned into his human form again. His clothes were already torn, and the light fiend turned into a skirt armor around his waist. With such a simple addition, Lin Jun, shirtless, teleported to an interstellar battleship. The yin-yang spear in his hand cut through the armor plate, and Lin Jun removed an energy storm gun. This kind of pure energy machine gun was 20 meters long. It was powered by energy blocks and contained energy conversion crystals. The energy bullets fired were powerful enough to shatter mountains and penetrate the earth. During the attack on the White Magnolia Starry Sky, this kind of gun had contributed a lot. Including the energy box behind the gun, it weighed tens of thousands of kilograms. Only Lin Jun, with his monstrous strength, could lift it. Holding this incredibly huge battleship gun, Lin Jun teleported in front of Yinghua. After a mental struggle, Yinghua knew that it was useless to run at this moment. Luo Ho wouldn't let him go, and Jidu had just left him a message, asking him to stall Lin Jun. He had no way out. Originally, he thought that he might be dead, but when Lin Jun came in front of him with this huge energy storm gun, Yinghua felt that his chance had come. This kind of gun could hit planets, but using it to hit people was a bit like using an anti-aircraft gun to hit mosquitoes. It couldn't hit him at all. Yinghua was not dead. Moreover, this kind of energy attack was not very lethal to martial artists who were proficient in the energy element. 1 or 2 shots were almost like scratching an itch. It couldn't kill anyone. At this moment of life and death, he even felt that Lin Jun was a bit funny. Lin Jun, did you bring this thing to humiliate me? Lin Jun's eyes were red, and his voice was as cold as ice. Not to humiliate you, but to shoot you. Bullshit. Go to hell. Yinghua also thought about it. As long as he delayed Lin Jun for a while, Jidu and the others would definitely make a move. He still had a chance. Just as he was about to draw his sword, the surrounding space suddenly froze, and time stood still. In my hometown, in ancient times, people who committed heinous crimes would be shot to death. Yinghua, for your crimes, I will be shot 10,000 times. Chapter 571. Faced with the incoming energy bullets, Yinghua groaned in his heart. He did not expect Lin Jun to know time stop, which made him lose the first chance to dodge. However, when he fired the shot, the time stop field was automatically broken. Otherwise, the bullets would have stopped there. Taking advantage of that 1 in 10,000th of a second, Yinghua activated his defense. As a level 9 Nebula super expert, Yinghua was also a perfect Azure Spirit Reader. The defense of a Spirit Reader was the Spirit Shield. Lin Jun also knew this move. However, in the vast universe, Lin Jun was not the only one who understood it. A layer of yellow shield appeared. After activating the Spirit Shield, he waved the sword in his hand, creating a storm of blades. He was trying his best to resist this energy torrent. Each of the energy bullets, which could split mountains and rocks, smashed into his body. At this moment, the spiritual force shield became bumpy. Although 1 or 2 bullets couldn't kill anyone, it couldn't withstand too many bullets and too many of them. Yinghua's spirit shield began to drop rapidly under the bombardment of the energy bullets. Soon, he had a splitting headache. Clang, 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 clang. The gun barrels were spinning crazily. Puff, 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 puff. Yinghua's body flew out like a piece of rag from the impact of the torrent of bullets. Lin Jun's figure was like a ghost, following closely behind Yinghua. Bullets rained down on him. Ah! Yinghua screamed in pain. Her spirit shield was finally broken, and the first bullet hit her. A layer of yellow light appeared. He was wearing a supreme gray divine armor that could effectively resist the impact. This layer of yellow light gave him a little more time to breathe. He suddenly teleported and was about to enter the range of the torrent of bullets. Gravity! Lin Jun raised his hand. Gravity shrouded Yinghua, who had teleported tens of kilometers away, and pulled him back. Idiot! Teleporting in front of me? Then I'll let you have a taste of flying a kite. He raised one hand and locked onto Yinghua, not letting him escape. At the same time, the torrent of bullets continued to roar crazily, hitting Yinghua up and down. No matter how weak the attack was, it wouldn't be weak when there were so many of them. Moreover, this kind of energy bullet wasn't weak to begin with. No matter how strong the defense was, it would not be able to withstand continuous attacks. It was like dripping water penetrating a stone. Inghua wanted to get rid of them, but she couldn't. She was bombarded by countless bullets, and her defense was shattered. His skin was pierced, his bones were shattered, his muscles were torn apart, and his internal organs were spilling out. Blood splattered everywhere. Lin Jun's eyes were cold and emotionless. I said I'll execute you 10,000 times. So, I'll execute you 10,000 times. Inghua, use your soul to atone for your sins to the 3 billion living beings of White Magnolia. The huge trigger was pulled tightly. Amidst Inghua's screams, her skull was torn open. The bullet pierced through his spiritual sea. His abdomen had been split open, and his Dantian sea of qi had been pierced. His star power and mind power began to dissipate. Although Inghua was still alive, he was already dead as a warrior. Without his star power and mind power, he could no longer be considered a warrior. More than 100,000 energy bullets bombarded his body, causing him to experience the pain of having his body shattered and his mind in despair. Only then did Lin Jun finally kill him. His heart was shattered. His brain was crushed. His body was completely shattered. Clang, 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 clang. The poor Level 9 Nebula, a god of the arena with a star power of more than 15,000, was smashed into minced meat. The spinning energy storm finally stopped. Lin Jun flicked his finger, and a flame that was almost dark green in color shot out. It completely burned Inghua into ashes and disappeared from this universe. After throwing away the energy storm, Lin Jun slowly closed his eyes, and his mind power began to spread out. With him as the center point, every area within 1,000 kilometers of space was under the detection of Lin Jun's mind power. The White Magnolia star from before was gone. Only a deep space was left, and there was a faint smell of sulfur and gunpowder. Sitting cross-legged in the void with the yin-yang spear across his knees, Lin Jun seemed to have entered a state of cultivation. Swoosh! 50 meters to his left, there was a slight fluctuation in space. The fluctuation was so weak that it was almost like a mosquito flapping its wings. If one didn't sense it carefully, they wouldn't be able to detect it. However, Lin Jun's Jade Ray level mind power didn't miss this slight fluctuation. In less than 1/10,000th of a second, Lin Jun had already arrived. Holding the spear with both hands, he attached the power of space to the spear and fiercely stabbed it out. Collapse! This space collapsed under Lin Jun's all-out attack, and the enemy hidden in the alternate space was stabbed out by Lin Jun's spear. Poof! Blood splattered. A martial artist in green clothes was shot in the shoulder. At this time, he was holding on to Lin Jun's spear with both hands, trying his best to resist Lin Jun's spear. He looked at Lin Jun in disbelief, not knowing how Lin Jun had discovered his tracks. You dare to show off your insignificant spatial concealment technique in front of an expert? Die. In his left hand, the edge spear suddenly appeared and stabbed at the opponent's throat. This person was Yu Tan, one of the 7 great malevolent stars of the arena. After the battle started, she hid in the alternate space and prepared to sneak attack Lin Jun. However, she didn't expect to be discovered by Lin Jun and stabbed out with his spear. Seeing the opponent take out another spear, Yu Tan's soul almost left her body. She couldn't care less about the spear on her shoulder and tried to grab Lin Jun's edge spear with both hands. When the edge spear stabbed out, Lin Jun seemed to have two minds. He pulled out his yin-yang spear at lightning speed and stabbed at the opponent's dantian and lower abdomen. At this time, the edge spear didn't stop stabbing. Instead, it was like a poisonous snake, making it very difficult for the opponent to block. This was the essence of dual wielding. It was like two Lin Jun were stabbing at the same time. Yu Tan's star power was much weaker than Lin Jun's. When faced with this kind of simultaneous attack, she couldn't block it again. She grabbed the spear at her throat, but her dantian was pierced. The dantian, the heart, and the brain were the eternal weak points of a martial artist. Once hit, it was basically over. Although the dantian wouldn't die immediately, the star power that she had painstakingly cultivated for many years was released at this moment. Yuten screamed miserably. Her dantian was like a fountain, with endless starlight gushing out. Her cultivation had been scattered. Just when Lin Jun attacked Yutan, the space behind him fluctuated again. Someone had teleported behind Lin Jun. A long saber fiercely slashed at Lin Jun's neck. Time force field. Lin Jun never relaxed his vigilance of his surroundings. When the enemy teleported here, he immediately activated the time force field, making the time in this space stop. The person who came behind Lin Jun was 7 kills. When Lin Jun was wantonly slaughtering, he also quietly hid. However, he was more patient than Yutan and didn't act rashly. When he saw Lin Jun kill Yutan, he showed up and wanted to give Lin Jun a thunderous strike. However, he saw a strange scene. The star power that was shooting out from Yutan's dantian stopped in the air. Those dots of star power turned out to be diamond-shaped. The structure was exquisite and beautiful, even more exquisite than a snowflake. This was also the last scene he saw. After the time stopped, Lin Jun's edge spear suddenly thrust back and killed 7 kills on the spot. After killing 2 people, Lin Jun didn't stop. He suddenly turned around and teleported. He waved the long spear in his hand, and a space cut burst out. 300 meters in front of him, someone was hiding. The space cut roared with an absolute power. Immediately, a martial artist with a long halberd appeared. This was defeating armies, the third of the 7 malefic stars in the arena. He didn't expect that Lin Jun would be so fierce. Moreover, his senses were so sharp that he couldn't hide in the space. Seeing the space cut coming, defeating armies couldn't hide anymore. He knew that at this moment, he wasn't Lin Jun's opponent. The only thing he could do was to run away. A low-grade heaven tier shield was tossed out to resist the spatial slash. Bang, 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 bang. Muffled sounds hit the heavenly shield. Soon, the light of the shield dimmed and was blown aside. However, it had bought defeating armies time. He turned around and teleported away. Spirit, evil spirit all. How could Lin Jun give him such a chance? A spirit, evil spirit all was launched, and defeating armies teleport was interrupted. Luckily, he had a top-grade spirit defensive divine weapon. Otherwise, Lin Jun's spirit attack would have damaged his brain. Although he couldn't teleport, he could still fly away. While the star power was flying away, Lin Jun flicked his wrist. The 7-star saber slashed from 7 different angles. At the same time, he threw the yin-yang long spear in his hand. The 7-star saber restricted the opponent's movement range, forcing him to face the spear directly. When defeating armies saw this, he knew that it was time for him to go all out. He roared crazily. His 17,000-star power was completely unleashed. He waved the halberd in his hand and fiercely smashed it against the yin-yang long spear. Clang! The earth-shattering sound shook the space. After Lin Jun threw the spear, he grabbed the edge spear with both hands. At the same time, he also unleashed his star power. The second spear was shot out. The dazzling starlight was like a rainbow. It was like a bridge of light across the sky. Wherever it passed, the space shook. Its power was unstoppable. Defeating armies had already used up all his strength to block Lin Jun's first spear. When the second spear was shot over, his limbs were already weak. He waved the halberd again, but he couldn't block this spear. The spear fiercely pierced through his chest. His heart was completely shattered by this powerful attack. Defeating armies held the spear with both hands and flew backwards. The huge impact caused his body to be nailed to an abandoned interstellar battleship far away. Clang! It was like a broken bag that was nailed there. The interstellar battleship shook. Fresh blood seeped out from his back and dyed the battleship red. Chapter 572. After the 2 spears were fired, Lin Jun suddenly pulled out the Light Fiend. Time acceleration. It was an attack that defied common sense. With a speed that surpassed sublight speed, it blocked the sneak attacker's almost fatal attack. It was a black scimitar with simple patterns on it. It was a middle-grade heaven tier scimitar. When the scimitar slashed over, it cut Lin Jun's Light Fiend into 2 halves. However, because of its obstruction, the scimitar grazed the skin of Lin Jun's neck and didn't cut Lin Jun. This was the last sneak attacker. When he attacked, his star power was actually about the same as Lin Jun's. Even if this person's star power didn't exceed 20,000, it definitely exceeded 19,000. This person was Ji-do, the last of the 7 great malefic stars. He also felt Lin Jun's strength and didn't dare to act rashly. After Lin Jun killed Yuing, 7 kills, and defeating armies in succession, he saw that Lin Jun didn't have a weapon in his hand, so he took the risk. However, he didn't expect that Lin Jun still had a light fiend in his hand. It actually blocked the sneak attack of his scimitar. However, the light fiend wasn't Lin Jun's weapon after all. Its quality was only a middle-grade divine tool. Under the slash of Ji-do's blade, it was cut into 2 halves. Ji-do's eyebrows were filled with a gloomy aura. He held the scimitar with both hands and suddenly burst out with all his star power. Lin Jun, today, this place will be your burial ground. This was obviously a secret technique. At the cost of being injured, he burned his star power for a short period of time. This allowed his star power to surpass Lin Jun's for a short period of time. In this way, Lin Jun's time force field couldn't be used in front of him. That scimitar was like a maggot in a tarsal bone. It was pushed close to Lin Jun's neck. Lin Jun found the other 3 people lurking, but he didn't find Ji-do's. This person's strength was somewhat beyond Lin Jun's expectation. His body retreated quickly. At this moment, Lin Jun could only use the flying escape method. He didn't even have time to use teleportation. His hair could even feel the chill of the scimitar. If he paused for a moment, it would be a dead end. He thought that he could get rid of Ji-do with his speed, but he didn't expect that this person's waist with a black aura like a rope, binding him and Ji-do no matter how fast Lin Jun flew. Ji-do couldn't catch up with him. Yeah, Lin Jun, you didn't expect this, did you? You'd better not slow down. If you slow down, even a little, my knife will cut your neck. This was almost a sure kill situation. In order to kill Lin Jun, Ji-do also paid a great price. Even though Lin Jun killed several of his companions, he was indifferent. At the most critical moment, he used all the skills he had learned in his life and burned his star power as the price. He must kill in one blow. Space was rapidly retreating. Lin Jun couldn't stop at all. Once he stopped, the other party scimitar would push the boat with the current and kill him. However, Lin Jun's eyes didn't panic. He used all his strength and tried to shrink his body back. This wasn't a routine action, but a leaning back that everyone could do. Such a simple action pulled a distance of about a person's width between him and Ji-do's scimitar. Originally, this was useless. Ji-do would pull closer with a little force, and it might even bring a fatal disaster. However, Lin Jun needed such a space. Doppelganger appeared. Lin Jun's doppelganger had always been in the dark star space. Although the star power had been transferred to Lin Jun's body, he could still transform into an armor. After transforming into an armor, the doppelganger's defense and strength were even stronger than the main body. Ji-do's blade slashed out, but it only cut Lin Jun's doppelganger. It cut open Lin Jun's doppelganger's armor, cut open the blocking arms, and cut open the defense of the scales on the neck. However, it couldn't cut off the doppelganger's head. Lin Jun's main body seized this opportunity. The half of fiendish light in his hand had turned into a sharp blade again. Through the doppelganger's body, it pierced through Ji-do's lower abdomen. Traces of starlight appeared again. Ji-do was crippled. Like Yutan, Ji-do's dantian began to release star power. His entire body immediately withered. With his dantian crippled, his future as a martial artist would be gone. For someone who has used a power, this was undoubtedly more unbearable than death. Ji-do was decisive enough. When he released his star power, he fiercely glared at Lin Jun. Lin Jun, don't be complacent. You will definitely die in Luo Ho's hands. Lin Jun coldly snorted, I've already killed 6 of you. Luo Ho won't make a difference. Idiot! Luo Ho is different from us. He is not on the same level as us. When you see Luo Ho, you will know what terror is. The scimitar in his hand slashed across his throat. Ji-do had committed suicide. Lin Jun didn't think of controlling Ji-do. It was almost impossible to control an expert of this level. Even if there was a slight chance, Lin Jun didn't want to do so. This time, he wouldn't leave any of the malevolent stars who came to destroy the Magnolia Arena alive. It would be considered as revenge for Yaya and all the people of the Magnolia Arena. After Ji Du's death, the entire starry sky was really quiet. The survivors had all run away. Only the corpses of a few malevolent stars were floating in the air. Lin Jun first looked at the situation of his doppelganger. This time, the situation was really dangerous. If it weren't for his doppelganger, he might have died under Ji Du's scimitar. At most, it would be a situation of mutual destruction. However, the throat, the most vital part of his doppelganger, was not cut open. It was only seriously injured but not dead. He recalled his doppelganger into the dark star space. There, no one would disturb him. The doppelganger could slowly heal. Ji Du had committed suicide. Yu Tan, whose Dantian Chi had been broken, had also committed suicide. 7 had been killed. Defeating armies was dead. 5th Ghost, and Ning Hua had also been annihilated. The 6 malevolent stars who came to the Magnolia Arena were finally all dead. Lin Jun waved his hand. The yin-yang edged twin spears returned to his hand. He also put away the 7-star blade. The light fiend returned to his hand and immediately fused together. It turned into a belt that wrapped around Lin Jun's waist. He took off a few interspatial rings. However, there was still a depressing bank card inside. Lin Jun kept some sporadic universe crystals, which were worth about tens of millions. At least, he would not be short of money for the time being. There were also the weapons of the 6 malevolent stars. They were also considered a fortune, especially Ji Du's scimitar, which was a middle-grade heaven tool. It was worth a lot. It could be considered as compensation for Lin Jun. Standing in the air, Lin Jun looked at the location of the Magnolia Star. He sighed. In a vast universe, there would always be innocent people who died. He could not let these things affect his mood. He had more important things to do. Yeah, rest in peace. Chilin's sacred planet, in a mountain villa, this place was heavily guarded. The robots with the latest technology were in charge of security. Within a radius of 10,000 miles, if ordinary people and warriors dared to approach this place, they would definitely be killed by the robots. Even the royal family needed a pass to come to this area. In this villa area, the name of any villa owner was worthy of respect. This was because this was the place where domain monarchs lived. Villa 973. The person who lived here was the executive of the dimensional arena, Tian Fong. Father, you should know about what happened in the 68th district, right? Tianxi paced around the room anxiously as he looked at his father, who was still leisurely sipping tea on the sofa. I heard about it. Moreover, I was the one who gave the order to freeze Lin Jun's dimensional arena account. Then you should know that they caused a huge commotion on the Magnolia Star. Including Ji Du, the 6 malevolent stars of the dimensional arena were all killed by Lin Jun. I know about this. It caused quite a commotion. However, this Lin Jun is quite capable. He actually killed Ji Du. This is really out of my expectations. If you knew, would you still be able to sit here and drink tea calmly? Lin Jun must have guessed that you were the one who did this. He won't dare to find trouble with you, and will definitely vent his anger on me. Looking at Tianxi, who was like an ant on a hot pan, Tian Fong frowned slightly. Look at you. What kind of person are you? You can't keep your composure at all. Dad, I'm not you, a domain monarch expert. Of course, I can sit back and relax. I'm only a level 4 nebula. If Lin Jun finds me, I'm dead meat. Tian Fong sighed and put down his teacup. I already had a plan for this. Luoho has already communicated with me. Lin Jun can't even get past Luoho, let alone find you. What's there to worry about someone who's about to die? Why? Luoho is going to take action? Nonsense. There are 7 ferocious stars in the arena. Luoho is the boss. Now that 6 of his brothers have been killed, how can he still sit still? Tianxi thought for a while. But Lin Jun alone killed 6 ferocious stars. Even if Luoho went, I'm afraid he won't be a match for Lin Jun, right? What do you know? Tian Fong scolded his son coldly. Luoho's ability is beyond your imagination. Let me put it this way. If it's a friendly match, he's far from being a match for me. I could destroy him with one hand. But if it's a battle of life and death, I don't even have the confidence to defeat him. No way. No matter how strong he is, he's still a level 9 nebula. Dad, you're a level 2 star sector level. Oomph. Galaxy stage. That's just what you see on the surface. If it's a battle of life and death, you'll see his ferocious face. Even 10 Linjun won't be enough for him to kill. Hearing Tianfang's words, Tianzi sat back down in his seat. His heart also settled back into his stomach. In this case, no matter what, Linjun couldn't possibly be a match for Luoho. Tianzi was completely relieved. During this period, you just stay at home obediently. With me here, no matter how bold Linjun is, he won't dare to find you. Just wait for the news of him being killed by Luoho. Tianzi nodded, but he immediately thought of Yihua. Would Linjun seek revenge on Yihua? After all, Yihua was also involved in the incident at the Disarray Galaxy. Chapter 573. Yihua had been like an ant on a hot pan ever since the fall of the 6 malefic stars and the white magnolia. He was now certain of one thing, and that was that he was definitely no match for Linjun. Moreover, Linjun was so vicious that he didn't seem to be afraid of offending anyone. He wasn't like Tianzi, who thought he was safe just because he was the son of the Realm King. Instead, he felt that Linjun would definitely not care about the title of Mechanical Realm King and would be courteous to him. Perhaps Linjun would suddenly come over and take his life in the next moment. No, I can't sit here and wait for death. I need to find a safe place where Linjun won't dare to act rashly. It wasn't hard to find such a place. He could go to Tianzi. The Tianfang Domain King was there, so Linjun wouldn't dare to kill him. Nether Moon Empire, on the planet where Luoho lived alone. Dark clouds covered the sky, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. Golden snakes slithered through the clouds, and the rolling dark clouds formed a huge funnel-shaped whirlpool. Luoho was lying on a rocking chair with his eyes slightly closed. The vortex formed by the clouds rotated slowly with him as the center. Rumble. Thunder rumbled in the sky, and Luoho slowly opened his eyes. Countless lightning bolts fell from the sky and bombarded him, covering him with a layer of electric light. The star power in his body surged, and the world shook as if he was about to break through. Souls of the 6 malefic stars return. Luoho suddenly raised his hands high. In the sky, a blue star shone in the clouds, and 6 relatively smaller stars slowly rotated around it. These 7 stars were the 7 malefic stars. Rahu took out a white scroll and unfurled it in the air. The 7 malefic stars seemed to be attracted by the map. They rotated in the air for a while, and then embedded themselves into the map. A spoon-shaped star chart appeared. Ha! 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 Rahul looked up to the sky and laughed. It's finally done. My 6 brothers, if you don't die, this Big Dipper ominous star map will never succeed. With this diagram, my natal ominous star can turn into a dark star. As long as I refine this diagram, I won't have to suppress my star power anymore and will be able to break through to the domain Monarch Realm. It's been so many years, but I haven't broken through because of this star map. Now that I've been waiting for such an opportunity, I have to thank that Linjun. It was because he killed you that I was able to smoothly obtain the star map. Legend has it that when the 7 great ominous stars light up one by one, it will greatly increase a martial artist's strength. At that time, I won't have to look at anyone's face. I will definitely become the strongest domain king, and in the future, I might even become the strongest world king. Raha laughed for a while, then put away the star map. However, before that, I still have to get rid of Linjun. If I don't kill him to avenge you, the baneful aura of these 6 great ominous stars will be really difficult to control. My breakthrough will be smoother if I dissolve your baneful aura and resentment. He opened his mouth and inhaled, and the dark clouds and lightning in the sky were all sucked into his stomach. Instantly, the entire planet's sky became clear, as if the previous doomsday scene had never happened. Rahu opened the dimensional universe. If he wanted to find Linjun, he first had to go to the Fire Qilin Empire to find the Tianfang Territory Monarch. This was the only person he knew in the Fire Qilin Empire, and he met him when he froze Lin Jun's account in the arena. After communicating with the Tianfang territory monarch, Tianfang warmly welcomed Rahu's arrival. Tianfang knew Rahu too well. This was because he had seen Rahu's ability when the Tianfang territory monarch was still in the nebulous stage. At that time, he was not even a match for Rahu's one hand. Furthermore, he knew that Rahu could have advanced to the territory monarch level long ago. He had been suppressing his breakthrough for thousands of years. Once Rahu broke through, he, as second-level territory monarch, would not have the confidence to face Rahu. Therefore, Tianfang did not dare to be arrogant in front of Rahu. He warmly invited Rahu to come and promised that he would definitely find Lin Jun's whereabouts. After cutting off the communication with the dimensional universe, a black spaceship appeared above Rahu's head. It teleported in and left the Dark Moon Empire, heading straight for the Fire Qilin. Lin Jun's spaceship slowly flew out of the wormhole and arrived near the Qilin sacred planet. The spaceship stopped here for a while. Lin Jun finally resisted the urge to immediately go to the chaotic Star River. There was always a thought in his mind. After he revived Little Phoenix, if she asked what happened to the person who harmed her, Lin Jun would be speechless. At this point, there were only two people that Lin Jun had to kill. One was Tianxi, and the other was Yihua. Lin Jun was not a fool. Many things were very clear when he thought about the cause and effect. Among these things, the shadows of these two people were involved in every one of them, especially the matter of plotting against Little Phoenix. Lin Jun would never let them go. The spaceship landed on the Qilin sacred planet. Lin Jun's first target was to go straight to the Chaos World King's mansion. Now that the Chaos World King was not here, it was the best time to get rid of Yihua. However, when he arrived, Lin Jun found that there were only a few servants here. Lin Jun asked one of them and found out that Yihua had packed some things and left yesterday. He said that he was going to look for Tianxi. Lin Jun knew that he was late. Yihua had a keen sense of smell. When he saw that something had happened to the 6 great malefic stars, he did not dare to stay at home. He went to Tianxi's place. With the Tianfang domain king there, if Lin Jun rashly went there, he would definitely not have a good ending. Lin Jun also knew the pros and cons. He wanted to take revenge on Tianxi and Yihua. At the same time, he had to guard against them. After all, Tianxi's father was the domain king. There was also Luo Ho. Jidu had praised him so much. He must not be easy to deal with. The first thing I have to do is to temporarily close the dimensional universe and not give anyone any clues to find me. Lin Jun had already contacted his family and told them to be careful. Chris closed the dimensional universe's communication system. After Chris agreed, the dimensional universe's communication system was closed. No one could find Lin Jun through the dimensional universe. Lin Jun also closed the communication system of the Eternity Crystal Battleship. In this way, he had completely disappeared from the world. After cutting off communication with everyone, Lin Jun quietly went to the mountain where the Tianfang domain king lived to check out the villa. It could be said that this place was heavily guarded. Anyone who wanted to enter had to go through strict interrogation, probing, body searching, and star power monitoring. It was simply unscrupulous. Moreover, there was an energy shield that covered the entire mountain. It was impossible to teleport in. It's not easy to sneak in. After looking around, Lin Jun knew that it would be difficult to get in. There were even guards who said that this was a special period to prevent Lin Jun from sneaking in. After looking around, Lin Jun left the mountain. He would not shrink back because of this little difficulty. He had to enter the Tianfang domain king's house. However, he had to think carefully about how to get in. Yihua and Tianxi lived together in the Tianfang domain king's house. He had been here for 5 days, and he could finally put his heart at ease. It's finally safe. Brother Tianxi, Yihua, will stay in your house and not leave. As long as Lin Jun is alive, I will stay here. You can't find me annoying. Of course, Tianxi did not dare to dislike Yihua. He said with a smile, "How is that possible? You can stay as long as you want. I can't be happier to be with a national idol like you." What a **T national idol. It's useless. If Lin Jun wants to kill me, who can help me block half a move? I can't count on anyone at a critical moment. Only the fist is the absolute truth. Yihua sat up. After complaining for a while, he looked at the roof. Tianci, where do you think Lin Zhan will go after he comes back from the Magnolia Palace? Tianci shrugged. How would I know? One possibility is that he will come to kill us. Another, Lin Zhan has been making money like crazy these years. I don't know what kind of conspiracy he is hatching. Yihua showed a strange smile. I know. You know? Then tell me quickly. You know that Luo Ho is coming to kill Lin Zhan, but he doesn't know Lin Zhan's whereabouts. Now that Lin Zhan has closed the dimensional universe, the spaceship's communication is also closed. Luo Ho is coming. We have to provide him with information. At this time, Yihua said with a straight face, I also got the news by chance. You know, didn't I accept the assets left behind by my father before? This allowed me to become a 9-star Supreme customer, and I can inquire about a lot of information. At that time, I looked up information about the Phoenix. After all, Tianci nodded in understanding. He knew that Yihua used to like Feng Qingwan. Can you guess what I found? What? The information about Phoenix's nirvana. Tianci, Feng Qingwan actually has the possibility of being resurrected. She can be resurrected? There's such a thing? But even if she can be resurrected, it shouldn't be that simple. Yihua snorted coldly. It requires a flame more powerful than Feng Qingwan. Although I don't know how to use the money to upgrade the flame, it must have something to do with resurrecting Feng Qingwan. Hearing this, Tianci was stupefied. Yihua continued. He wants to go back to the place where Feng Qingwan died. Although we are not sure of the exact coordinates of that location, it is in the starry sky of the garbage treatment plant. Moreover, there's a time limit. He can only go back within 10 years. Do you still remember how long it has been since the chaotic galaxy assessment? Tianci thought for a while. 9 years. Yes, 9 years and 1 month to be exact. Tianci, if Lin Zhan doesn't come here, then he must have gone to the chaotic Star River. Hearing Yihua's resolute and decisive words, Tianci nodded repeatedly. Your analysis is very reasonable. I will inform my father now and ask him to tell Luo Ho to go to the disordered Star River and kill Lin Zhan. After that, Tianci contacted his father, the king of Tianfeng Domain. At this moment, the ground suddenly shook. Rumble. Many of the houses in the courtyard had collapsed. Earthquake? Damn. My father likes this kind of house made of bricks and stones. He says that a metal house is not for people to live in. It's a cage, but this house is too weak. It needs to be repaired every time there's an earthquake. Chapter 574. Tian Haoyu, the emperor of the Fire Kirin Empire, was an expert in ancient architecture. He studied history and liked the style of ancient architecture. The whole imperial palace of the empire was built with bricks and tiles. According to what he said when he was drunk, the metal houses were used to lock up dogs. Whether it was because of this sentence or because many warriors and aristocrats in the empire liked to pretend to be cultured, brick and tile houses were really popular. Even brick and tile houses were luxuries in the Fire Kirin Empire. They belonged to the aristocrats, and ordinary people could not afford to live in them. Because this kind of house was beautiful, but it was also fatal if it was not strong enough. Even if there was an earthquake, it could be easily smashed by angry warriors. So ordinary people could not afford to live in it. But this helped an industry. The decoration team was very popular in the Fire Kirin Empire. After Tianci gave the order, someone immediately contacted the decoration team. But the decoration team here built the house very fast. Everyone was a warrior, so they had enough strength and even spiritual power to move things. The general construction of a small villa could be completed in 1 day. Including the interior decoration, it would not take more than 3 days. The decoration team was contacted. Cars of sand, stones, bricks, and tiles were transported in. The decoration team started to work. Before entering, almost everyone had to undergo a strict inspection, including their cars and the stones and sand in their cars. Everything had to be checked. The inspection showed that everything was safe. The cars entered the house of the Tianfeng Domain king smoothly. But no one noticed that when the guard was checking the stones with a detector, a spark burned a small hole in the carriage of a transport car. A small stone fell down and fell between the metal gaps of the car. It avoided the detector and went all the way into the villa area. The car turned all the way. When it was near the villa garden of the Tianfeng domain king, the small stone fell down and rolled into a bush. The decoration work was in full swing. Under the supervision of many warriors, no one dared to slack off. Occasionally, the domain monarch of the Tianfeng domain would scan the area with his spiritual power, checking everyone and even the facilities they brought. Back then, Lin Jun had hidden himself so well on the white magnolia planet that no one dared to be too careless. Fortunately, there were no accidents during the construction. 2 days later, the construction was completed. The Tianfeng domain king came to the scene and personally created a whirlwind to sweep away all the remaining materials. Not even a grain of sand was left. Only then was he truly relieved. His son, Tianxi, and the son of the mechanical realm king, Yihua, lived in this courtyard. He could not allow any accidents to happen. Seeing the behavior of the Tianfeng domain king, Yihua and Tianxi also felt that there was absolutely no problem with the safety of this place. However, no one knew that in the corner of the garden, a small stone had sunk into the soil without attracting anyone's attention. 10 days later, the prince's mansion in the Tianfeng territory held a banquet to welcome the guests from the Dark Moon Empire, the greatest god in the 68th district of the dimensional arena, Luoho. As for Luoho, he had a certain degree of fame even in the entire universe. Within the 68th district, there were fighters from all over the universe countries, and within the galaxy field, there was almost no one who didn't know Luoho. Even on the other side of the galaxy field, many people knew Luoho because before they reached the star domain stage, many people had been defeated by Luoho. This was a level 9 nebula who had been cultivating for a very long time. According to his strength, this person should have reached the star domain stage long ago, but he had not. He had remained at level 9 nebula, which was puzzling. The only thing that could be confirmed was that Luoho was suppressing his strength and trying hard not to break through. This was a kind of torture for a fighter, but Luoho was able to do it. Although Tianfeng was the domain king, he did not dare to be too arrogant when such a person came. He gave him enough respect and courtesy, even going to the door to welcome him personally. Originally, Yihua and Tianxi would not have gone to such a scene. They had told the Tianfeng domain king that Lin Jun might go to the chaotic Star River, and the Tianfeng domain king could just pass on the message to Luoho. However, Tianfeng wanted them to show their faces in front of Luoho, so he wanted them to toast Luoho at the beginning of the banquet. Yihua, are you ready? Yes, let's go now. Yihua and Tianxi walked out of Tianxi's room, dressed in gorgeous clothes. After seeing Luoho this time, I believe that Lin Jun's end is near. Tianxi, I am very sure now that Lin Jun must have gone to the chaotic Star River. Even if he doesn't go now, he will definitely go this year, because his time is limited. After this year, he will have no hope at all. I also believe in your judgment, but Yihua, don't you want him to revive Feng Qingwan? You must know that although that girl is fierce and vicious, her face and figure are really good. If it's not mine, it will not be mine in the end. I will not force it. Tianxi, don't think of me as a stupid pig who can't take a step forward when seeing a woman. Besides, that is Lin Jun's woman. That's true, Sai. You are a beauty. Why are you a thief? Tianxi shook his head and said this. The two of them were about to walk out of the garden. When they turned the corner, a guard saw them coming and immediately took a step back. He lowered his eyes and waited for them to pass before leaving. But when he took a step back, he seemed to have stepped on a round stone and his body slid forward. Tianxi immediately stretched out his hand to block, but the guard's eyes suddenly flashed. His eyes seemed to have been dipped in poison. He howled, and his body swelled at the same time. He actually exploded immediately. This sudden attack caught Yihua and Tianxi a little unprepared. This guard was a level 4 galactic warrior, and the power of his self-explosion was not ordinary. If they were too close to him, they would definitely be seriously injured, even if they did not die. The two of them took a step back at the same time and came to a corner of the garden. Before the shock wave of the explosion completely passed, a pair of big hands suddenly stretched out from the soil of the garden and firmly grasped their ankles. "Ah, who is it? Help! It's Lin Jun." The two of them lowered their heads in fear and saw Lin Jun in the soil holding their ankles tightly with both hands. His eyes were cold. At this time, they could not guess how Lin Jun had sneaked in. Saving their lives was the most important thing. Their shouts must have spread out. They were about 1,000 meters away from the villa area of the Lord of Tianfeng Domain. According to the speed of sound transmission, this life-saving cry would reach the ears of the Tianfeng Domain King and Luo Ho within 3 seconds. And with the speed of those two people, they could definitely appear in front of them within 1 second. So if they wanted to survive, they had to hold on for at least 4 seconds. The two of them fought desperately at the same time. For this day, they were not unprepared. In fact, they were very well prepared. Each of them had a long sword of upper-grade celestial weapon, a middle-grade celestial armor, and a middle-grade celestial weapon for spiritual defense. They took out all 3 of these things as soon as they met Lin Jun. Their long swords slashed down fiercely. This attack used all the strength they had in their lives. They did not hold back at all. They had to rely on their armor and spiritual defense to resist Lin Jun for at least 4 seconds. They were not the only ones who knew all this. As the assassin, Lin Jun also knew all this. Lin Jun had prepared for a long time for this day. He dug up the mountain to create an earthquake and collapsed Tianxi's house. After letting the renovation team in, he turned into a small stone and sneaked into this courtyard. After staying here for half a month, he had already familiarized himself with everything here. He used his spiritual power to make the guards explode and forced Yihua and Tianxi to come to him. This way, he could kill them in the shortest time. Because Lin Jun did not have time. Once he was blocked by Tianfeng and Luo Ho, he would definitely die. So when he caught Tianxi and Yihua, Lin Jun's baleful light immediately tied up their ankles. From the moment they grabbed their ankles to the moment they pulled out their swords, 1 second passed. In the second, Lin Jun pulled out his yin-yang edge spears and brazenly attacked the two of them. At this time, Yihua and Tianxi realized how much weaker they were compared to Lin Jun. Even when the two of them worked together, not only did they not gain any advantage, they were also defeated by Lin Jun in an instant. When the collapsing spear light caused the two's heaven-tier armors to crack open with a muffled sound, causing them to vomit blood and die in defeat, the 3rd second had just passed. The two of them released their star power and fiercely threw their heaven-tier swords at Lin Jun, hoping to stop him for a while. At the same time, they used all their strength to fly backwards. They had the mentality that one more person could escape, so they made a final effort to escape. Lin Jun raised his hand and sucked their swords into his hand. His lips curled into a cold smile. "Do you think you can escape? This day next year will be your anniversary." His arm shook and dark blue flames burst out. The two swords instantly turned into 2 red soldering irons. With a shake of his hand, he stabbed them at their chests. "Daddy, save us!" Yihua and Tianxi shouted at almost the same time. This was the biggest disadvantage of second-generation martial artists like them. In the end, they were still mentally dependent on their parents and had never been truly independent. Tianfeng and Luo Ho also appeared at the same time. The distance of 1,000 meters was covered in the blink of an eye. When they appeared, they saw Lin Jun's flying swords stabbing at them. The two of them attacked at the same time. A ray of starlight and a ray of black light hit the 2 flying swords, knocking them down at almost the same time. But before Yihua and Tianxi could rejoice, a dark blue fire snake suddenly spurted out from the flying swords and directly enveloped the two of them. They were originally running towards Tianfeng and Luo Ho, but just as they were about to reach a safe place, they were instantly surrounded by flames. The dark blue flames were so overbearing that Tianfeng and Luo Ho had no choice but to dodge. 1 second. Chapter 575. Lin Jun killed Yihua and Tianxi in front of Tianfeng and Luo Ho, chopped off their left hands, and snatched their space rings. Then, under the cover of the dark green flames, Lin Jun teleported directly to the exit of the villa district. The guard didn't know what happened to the Tian Fong Territory's prince's house. When he saw Lin Zhan teleporting over, he immediately went up to greet him. "Hello, sir. May I ask if you want to?" This place was tightly guarded from the outside and relaxed from the inside. The guard didn't realize how dangerous Lin Zhan was. "Open the door." Lin Zhan didn't say anything and threw out a soul lock. Although the guard was also at the early stage of the nebulous system, he couldn't resist Lin Zhan's mental power. He was instantly locked on by his soul and opened the door mechanically. The surrounding space fluctuated. Lin Zhan immediately knew that Tian Fong and Luo Ho had caught up. With a wave of his hand, a spatial slash was thrown out and went straight to where Tian Fong and Luo Ho appeared. Tian Fong and Luo Ho had just appeared when the spatial slash came whistling over. Even if they were stronger than Lin Zhan, they couldn't ignore the spatial slash. The two of them dodged at the same time and counterattacked Lin Zhan in a thousandth of a second. At this time, the protective barrier of the villa district opened up a crack. Don't even think about teleporting. The two of them activated their mental attacks at almost the same time to prevent Lin Zhan from teleporting out through the crack. Bang! The two mental attacks hit Lin Zhan's mind at the same time. However, it was as if they hit a piece of wood. Not good. This is a doppelganger. Only then did they realize that they had been tricked. Lin Zhan had actually used his doppelganger to block their mental attacks, while his real body was hiding in a corner. Teleportation and gravity were activated at the same time. Lin Zhan's real body ran out of the crack and pulled his doppelganger out at the same time. Luo Ho was closer to Lin Zhan's doppelganger. He wanted to chase after him, but the doppelganger held the edge spear and clashed with him. Luo Ho was shocked to find that he didn't have much of an advantage in the clash with Lin Zhan's doppelganger. With this delay, both Lin Zhan's main body and avatar rushed out of the villa area. At the same time, Tian Fong and Luo Ho used their teleportations to rush out. At the same time, they threw out their ultimate moves. However, when the big moves whizzed past, they only hit one of Lin Zhan's afterimages. Lin Zhan had already used planet teleportation to travel 200,000 kilometers away. He was already in outer space. When his body was in the void, he sensed that someone was chasing in his direction. Lin Zhan thought to himself so fast. He did not stop for a moment and teleported again, moving another 200,000 kilometers. The second time, the feeling of being chased was much weaker. Lin Zhan aimed at a straight line and teleported again. Then, Lin Zhan made another obtuse turn and teleported again. After the fifth time, Lin Zhan stopped, and the feeling of being chased behind him disappeared. With a life-saving move like planet teleportation, as long as Lin Zhan succeeded in his first teleportation, it would be very difficult to catch him in the future. Lin Zhan called out the Eternity Crystal battleship and immediately set off in the direction of the Chaotic Star River. When the battleship entered the parallel universe, Lin Zhan's heart was completely at ease. This time, he would let Luo Ho and Tian Fong chase after him. They definitely wouldn't be able to catch up. The Eternity Crystal battleship moved at the speed of light, so it was almost impossible to chase after it. Sitting on the deck chair of the battleship, Lin Zhan took out Yi Hua and Tianxi's interspatial rings. He definitely wanted their interspatial rings. Tianxi was also very rich. Last time, in the World Stone, his harvest was no less than Lin Zhan's. Yi Hua had inherited the wealth of the Mechanical Realm King, so he believed that he was also very rich. He only hoped that he didn't keep all his money in his bank account. Opening Tianxi's interspatial ring, Lin Zhan was immediately overjoyed. This guy actually didn't choose to deposit the cosmos crystals from last time. There were more than 40 billion cosmos crystals inside. After so long, Lin Zhan finally met someone who didn't deposit their cosmos crystals in the bank. This was a huge surprise for him. Lin Zhan wasn't interested in the other things, so he opened Yi Hua's interspatial ring. Yi Hua somewhat disappointed him. As expected, it was still a bank account. There was less than 2 billion in cash, but it was better than nothing. This is... Lin Zhan suddenly found a secret manual inside the interspatial ring. Tai Yuan's Sword Techniques, Second Stage. Lin Jun had the third stage of the Taiyuan sword technique. The second stage was in Yi Hua's hands, and the first stage was in the hands of Fifth Ghost. However, Fifth Ghost was destroyed by Lin Jun's black hole storm path in the White Magnolia Orchid. Not even a trace of him was left. This sword technique would probably never appear in the world again. What a pity. I should have caught Fifth Ghost alive. But at that time, I was so angry that I didn't think of these things. Just treat it as a collection. Putting away the second stage of the sword technique, Lin Jun's heart had already flown to the chaotic Star River. After more than 9 years of hard work, he finally achieved everything he wanted to do. The power of flame had been promoted to Dark Cyan. He also had the bloodline of Little Phoenix. In addition, killing Yi Hua and Tianxi could be considered as completely avenging Little Phoenix. He could finally complete the last step. Even if Little Phoenix really asked about everything that had happened during this time, Lin Jun could pat his chest and say that he had done everything he could. Little Phoenix, wait for me. I'll be there soon. In the void, the king of Tianfeng Domain and Luo Ho stood there with ashen faces, speechless for a long time. Lin Jun was too bold, too arrogant. He actually snuck into the king of Tianfeng Domain's home and killed Yi Hua and Tianxi right under their noses. This was a blatant slap to their faces. He didn't take them seriously at all. Moreover, at the entrance of the villa area, the two of them had exchanged blows with Lin Jun. In the end, they were tricked by Lin Jun. He directly used his doppelganger to block their mental attacks and took the opportunity to escape. He didn't even lose a hair, which made them feel even more ashamed. Lin Jun, little bastard. I shouldn't have used my mental attacks. I should have slashed him directly. That way, at least I could have killed his doppelganger. Tianfeng had just lost his son, so he was gnashing his teeth. Luo Ho closed his eyes. At that time, our first thought was to stop him from using teleportation. But we didn't expect him to use his doppelganger to trick us. I can only say that this guy has rich combat experience and is very bold. Also, his ability to escape is top-notch. He ran away right under our noses, but I couldn't catch up with him. Tianfeng was almost unable to suppress his anger, but he had nowhere to vent it. It was quite uncomfortable to hold it in. Where'd he go? Tianfeng, I don't have to hide anymore. 6 of my brothers died at the hands of Lin Jun. Your son also died at his hands. And Yi Hua, he died at your home. You and I were there. If the King of Mechanical Realms comes back and we don't give him an explanation, I'm afraid this matter will be even more troublesome. We're all in the same boat. Just say whatever you want. Tianfeng took a deep breath. Luo Ho, it's not that I don't want to tell you. I originally wanted Yi Hua and Tianxi to tell you. Unfortunately, they were killed by Lin Jun before they could say anything. I wanted them to tell you where Lin Jun might have gone. Oh, where would Lin Jun go? Lin Jun should have gone to the disordered Star River. There's a waste treatment plant there. Yi Hua said that he would definitely go to one of the planets there. Tianfeng turned and looked at Luo Ho seriously. Luo Ho, if we're talking about age, I have to call you Big Brother. You might not know, but there's a pathway of light in the disordered Star River. Domain monarchs can't pass through it. If Lin Jun is hiding there, my only hope is you. Domain monarchs can't enter there? Luo Ho asked because he didn't understand the situation here. Yes, domain monarchs entering the pathway of light will cause it to collapse, so I can't go. But you can. Only you can avenge my son. You don't have to say more. I came here to kill him anyway. Tianfeng immediately handed Luo Ho a star map. It was a star map of the disordered Star River. Once there, he could use the star map to find the direction of the waste treatment plant. Luo Ho took the star map and summoned his black aircraft. He was ready to leave. Old brother Ahu, I wish you a speedy return. I've heard some news that those world kings won't be coming back for a while. It might not be long before I choose to leave as well. I don't want to have any unfinished business hanging over my shoulder before I leave. Luo Ho was stunned. You mean? I believe brother Luo Ho has heard of the Pillar of Life. Are you saying that the Pillar of Life of Nebula M16 has appeared? Hee. It seems that brother Luo Ho is quite knowledgeable. That's right. It's the M16 Nebula, one of the 10 wonders of the universe. The Pillar of Life, the wine-red nebula, has already appeared. Why do we warriors train so hard? Isn't it so that one day we can no longer fear the passage of time and find a path to immortality? That's why I hope that Brother Luo Ho can get rid of Lin Jun as soon as possible. Perhaps we can discuss the future. That day will come very soon. Luo Ho nodded slightly. His desire to kill Lin Jun became even more urgent. He boarded the black aircraft. The aircraft rose into the sky and soon disappeared from sight. It went straight in the direction of the disordered Star River. After a month of flying, Lin Jun's spaceship finally arrived at the light corridor. Lin Jun felt an inexplicable sense of security here. After passing through the light passageway, the strongest person here would only be at the nebula stage. Lin Jun was confident that he wouldn't need to fear anyone at the nebula stage, even if he wasn't invincible. The spaceship passed through the light corridor, and the scenery in front of him suddenly opened up. The disordered Star River, which he hadn't seen for a long time, appeared in front of him again. Huff! Lin Jun let out a long breath. After 9 years, the time had finally come. Chapter 577. Chaotic Star River's Garbage Disposal Site, Planet Phoenix Perch. A light blue atmosphere enveloped the entire planet. Under Lin Jun's modification, the atmosphere here had reached the standard of human habitation. The parasol tree that Lin Jun planted back then was swaying in the breeze, and the leaves rustled. And Ning was peaceful, completely different from the situation of other distant planets that were filled with space. In the sky, a dot appeared in space. It was like a drop of ink on a piece of white paper, gradually spreading out. It was a wormhole. The wormhole began to expand, and finally formed a tunnel with a width of 10 meters. No one knew where the tunnel led to, but there was a strong spiritual energy emanating from it. However, this wormhole did not seem to be as stable as a real wormhole. It trembled slightly, as if it would not last for long. Roar! After a clear bird cry, the figure of a bird appeared in the wormhole. Not just one, but a flock. The ones flying at the front were 4 purple cranes. These purple cranes looked extremely majestic. Their feathers shone brightly, and their movements were uniform. They flapped their wings and flew out of the wormhole first. After circling around the parasol tree, they turned into 4 guards wearing purple armor, guarding the entrance of the wormhole on both sides. Then, a large group of divine eagles arrived through the wormhole and quickly occupied the important positions on Planet Phoenix Perch. There were hundreds of them. Behind the divine eagles, a huge peacock flew out and turned into a man in colorful clothes. Mr. Peacock landed on a treetop, and his body rose and fell slightly in the air. Hee! Mr. Peacock reached out and pinched a leaf from the parasol tree. New territories. I remember coming here with the old master 1,000 years ago. I haven't been here for 1,000 years, and this place seems to have changed. A purple crane guard came to Mr. Peacock. Sir, the wormhole has limited time. We should get down to business as soon as possible. No rush, no rush. This artificial wormhole is made in Flying Snow City, and the quality there is trustworthy. If it can last for 2 hours, it won't last for 119 minutes. It's not easy to come to the new territories, so of course I have to experience it properly. Mr. Peacock walked back and forth on the parasol tree lightly. Little Master, you are indeed a genius. You were actually able to find the place where the Phoenix Goddess would undergo nirvana in the new realm. I originally thought that I would take some detours, but I didn't expect that the moment I appeared, it would actually be where the parasol tree is. That's right. Phoenixes will only appear where there are parasol trees. Whoosh! A colorful fan was opened and gently fanned a few times. The new realm is indeed different from the primordial realm. Be it the density of dark energy or the suppression of the world's gravity, they are far inferior to the primordial realm. The purple crane guard beside him smiled and said, Of course the new realm can't be compared to the primordial realm. This is a starry sky. Although the gravitational force of every planet is different, even the gravitational force of the place with the strongest gravitational force is much weaker than the primordial realm. Therefore, people who grow up under such circumstances will generally be several times weaker than those in the primordial realm. TSK Tisk. It was really pitiful. Those fellows in the new domain who knew the secret of the primordial realm were all itching to go to the primordial realm. However, they did not know that even if they reached the primordial realm, their prodigies would become fools. The huge difference would often drive them crazy. They might even become mediocre and unable to recover from the setback. I think they should just stay in the primordial realm. At least they can be carefree. The purple crane guard saw that Mr. Peacock was blabbering on and couldn't help but feel anxious. He softly urged him, "Sir, let's do what young master asked us to do first." All right. It's fine to just look at the scenery of the new territories. It's just a temporary novelty. Let's get down to business." Then he took out a crystal ball. Inside it was rolling flames that were close to dark green. This was given to me by young master. It's specially used for goddesses nirvana. It contains the flames of its blood. Once it's released, it'll be enough to revive goddess in this space. A few purple crane guards immediately shouted to the divine eagle guards, "Be careful, don't let anyone get close. There can't be any accidents during this period of time. Expand the defensive perimeter. The alert range is 1,000 kilometers." Hundreds of condor guards left the planet's surface and flew out of the atmosphere. They formed a security circle to prevent any outsiders from approaching Phoenix Perch. It's about to begin. I'm still a little nervous. If it weren't for the fact that this kind of wormhole isn't too stable and can't accommodate Little Master's power, I wouldn't have come on this errand. I can only hope that after the goddess revives, on account of my contribution, she will remember my good deeds and take care of me in the future. Mr. Peacock finished muttering and suddenly threw the crystal ball in his hand into the void. He chanted a series of incantations and pointed with the 5-colored fan in his hand. "Go!" The crystal ball spun twice and then rushed out of the atmosphere. It exploded at the place where Feng Qingluan had ignited the true fire in her body and burned a large number of Zerg troops. The dark green flames swept out and burned the void. Quick! Burn! Beautiful girl with the Phoenix bloodline, your family is here to take you home. No, it should be your in-laws who are here to take you home. Ha ha! The raging flames raged in the air. There was no air, no matter, just burning in the void. It seemed that something was about to happen. "Master, please be careful. Behind our spaceship, there's a spaceship only 100 star miles away from us. It's following us closely." Lin Jun opened the communication channel of the dimensional universe when he was close to the garbage treatment plant. Since he was already here, there was no point in closing the dimensional universe. He also needed to know some things about the outside world. Fortunately, it was opened. As soon as it was opened, Chris sent a message to Lin Jun. He hurriedly opened the spaceship's radar. Sure enough, not far behind, there was a light spot following them. Who is it? How can they come to this place? Lin Jun did not open the communication channel before. How could there be someone following them? There was only one possibility in this situation, and that was that the other party was heading to the same destination as him. Hiss. The radar screen flashed a few times, and then a communication came in. Lin Jun opened it and saw a middle-aged man in a black robe. His face was sinister. It was Rahu. Hee. Lin Jun, our guess was not wrong. You really came here. My spaceship just caught the signal, and I guessed it was you. What do you think? This time, you better surrender obediently. Lin Jun frowned slightly. This guy was really like a lingering spirit. He had actually set his sights on the Disarray Star River's garbage processing plant. It seemed that they had already guessed the purpose of his trip. Rahu, don't go overboard. I'm not afraid of you. It's just that I have something to do now. I don't have time to tangle with you. When I'm done, we'll see who's better. Ha. What a joke. You killed 6 of my brothers. How can I let you go? Don't even think about doing anything. Just prepare to die. It was only a distance of 100 stars. It was impossible for Lin Jun to shake off Rahu. However, it would not be easy for Rahu to catch up to Lin Jun. After all, Lin Jun's spaceship was also a top-notch spaceship with top-notch configuration. Lin Jun did not waste any more words with Rahu and directly cut off the communication channel. His clone appeared in front of the control panel in a flash. It looked exactly like Lin Jun himself. After cutting off the communication channel in the dimensional universe again, Lin Jun knew that he had to leave the spaceship now. He let his clone take Rahu around for a while. His main body had to rush to revive Little Phoenix immediately to avoid any more trouble. When the spaceship passed by a meteorite, it activated a wind-type ability. His main body directly teleported out and landed on the meteorite. After landing, Lin Jun immediately retracted his aura and turned into a grain of sand, completely merging with the meteorite. Then, his clone steered the spaceship at an angle and flew in another direction. In less than 5 minutes, Rahu's spaceship also passed by here and chased after Lin Jun's spaceship. The clone deliberately went to some difficult places and played hide-and-seek with Rahu. After waiting for a while, the two spaceships had flown far away. Lin Jun's main body reappeared on the meteorite. Planet teleportation. He directly landed on a distant asteroid. After 2 consecutive teleportations, he was probably almost out of the radar range of Rahu's spaceship. Lin Jun fiercely spread the tempest wings behind him and quickly flew in the direction of Planet Phoenix Perch. After years of continuous nourishment, the lightning wings could now provide Lin Jun with a speed of 5,000 times the speed of sound. This speed allowed Lin Jun's body to turn into a stream of light. His speed was almost comparable to an ordinary spaceship. As Planet Phoenix Perch approached, Lin Jun was secretly excited. After 9 years, he had finally returned to this place. If everything went well, he would be able to see the little Phoenix today. I don't know if the Phoenix will still remember what happened back then after undergoing nirvana. It would be a pity if it had amnesia. I believe my luck won't be that bad. The scenery in the starry sky quickly passed by. Planet Phoenix Perch was in front of him. It was different from the other gray trash planets. It had an atmosphere. Looking from afar, he could even see a layer of blue light shrouding the planet. I'm almost there. The parasol tree should be growing well on Planet Phoenix Perch. After my transformation, that planet has become a habitable planet. The blue planet in front of him gradually grew larger. Lin Jun's lightning wings flapped a few times. He was about to enter the atmosphere. Just then, a loud roar suddenly came from the front. Chapter 578. Lin Jun stopped and looked up. He saw a warrior wearing golden armor and wielding a long sword standing outside the atmosphere of Planet Phoenix Perch. This person was a level 5 nebula, but the aura he exuded made Lin Jun feel a little pressured. Lin Jun couldn't help but be shocked. With his current strength, there were very few nebula warriors who could catch his eye. It could be said that nebula warriors were no threat to Lin Jun. Even if there were a very small number of warriors who could catch Lin Jun's attention, they would be level 9 nebula, such as Luo Ho and Ji-Du, but this level 5 nebula could actually make Lin Jun feel a little pressured. This was very incredible. Chris, analyze his astral power. Yes, master, analyzing. Preliminary calculations show that this person's star power is about 11,000. Lin Jun couldn't help but gasp. 11,000 star power. Although this level of star power was not as good as Ing Hua and Fifth Ghost, it was still better than a Dark General. But who was a Dark General? He was a great god who ruled the entire 68399 district, a peak level 9 nebula. If there were no accidents, he would almost certainly become a domain monarch in the future. And the person in front of him was only a level 5 nebula. His clothes looked like a standard uniform, and he was just a guard. What kind of person could hire such a talented warrior as a guard? How could such a genius martial artist become someone's bodyguard? Seeing that Lin Jun didn't speak, the warrior opposite him shouted again, "Are you leaving or not? If not, I'm going to make a move." Lin Jun recovered from his shock and looked again. He found that he was not the only guard in this part of the starry sky. There were more here, there, and even further away. At a glance, it seemed that the entire planet was surrounded and no one was allowed to approach. But this was Planet Phoenix Perch, a planet that Lin Jun had tidied up. It was the key place where he wanted to revive Little Phoenix. How could he let others be so presumptuous? His face darkened. "Who are you people? What are you doing on my planet?" "Hee hee, I really can't tell you who we are. I'm afraid you'll be scared to death if I tell you. Anyway, you barbarian, hurry up and leave." "What do you mean by your planet?" "Now that we need this place, it belongs to us. If you don't want to die, then come back in 2 days. No one cares about your broken place. The way this martialist looked at Lin Jun was like looking at an ant. According to Lin Jun's experience, this person's attitude was definitely not an act. When facing him, he really had a sense of superiority. It's just like how the people of the Sky River Empire looked at the people of Earth with contempt. Furthermore, Lin Jun had a feeling that this warrior did not look like someone from a country that he knew of. His attire and mannerisms seemed to be from another world. However, no matter who he was, it was impossible for Lin Jun to be stopped by him. This person's background was worthy of vigilance, but Lin Jun did not care about a martial artist with a strength of 11,000 stars. Get out of my way. Lin Jun stepped forward. The martialist suddenly became angry. Barbarian from the new territories, how dare you? The long sword in his hand swung, and he rushed towards Lin Jun. Lin Jun took out his yin-yang spear, and after transferring his astral power, he swung his spear. Lin Jun's realm is very confusing. The black hole late stage is nothing in the eyes of many people. The martialist didn't care about Lin Jun. Seeing Lin Jun's spear coming towards him, he blocked it with his sword. Lin Jun directly pulled the long sword away, and the martialist was kited by Lin Jun. With one successful blow, Lin Jun walked through the void and was about to enter the atmosphere of Fengqi planet. How dare you? Where did this madman come from? Stop for me. Whoosh! Whoosh! Martialists flew over from all directions at a very fast speed. If it was just a guard wearing golden armor, Lin Jun wouldn't care, but there was a martialist wearing purple armor here. This person was a level 9 nebula. Chris even sent a reminder to Lin Jun. Master, please be careful. This martialist in purple armor has a star power value of 18,000. Lin Jun couldn't help but feel a headache when he heard this. He saw that in the distant starry sky, there was another martialist in purple armor paying attention to this place, but he didn't come over. It seemed that there was more than one martialist in purple armor here. He should be one level higher than the martialist in gold armor. What did 18,000 star power value mean? It meant that this martialist had surpassed the great gods of the 68th district like 5 ghosts, and was even comparable to the top great gods like Ji-Du. If that was all, it would be fine. The point was that such a genius martialist was also a guard. All martial artists had their own pride, especially geniuses. None of them were willing to serve as an imperial bodyguard. Serving as an imperial bodyguard represented mediocrity. It was a job that only people without any future prospects would do. If Lin Jun didn't use star power transference, his star power value was only slightly more than 11,000. He really couldn't imagine what kind of power or person could make such a martialist be willing to be a subordinate. However, now was not the time to delve into this matter. Lin Jun waved his yin-yang spear. You invaded my planet and want to drive me away. Do you really think I won't dare to make you stay? The purple guard sized up Lin Jun a few times. He couldn't see through Lin Jun's background. The young martialist in front of him looked very young. He wasn't even 50 years old, let alone 100 years old. He had cultivated to the late stage of the black hole realm. This wasn't a big deal in the Yuan realm. There were plenty of geniuses younger than him. However, Lin Jun gave him the feeling that he was extremely powerful. The other party stood there with his spear and his star powers surging. It seemed that he was even stronger than him. The purple guard waved a sword in his hand. We don't know who this planet belongs to, but we are here to do something important. If you insist on barging in, we will definitely stop you. If you can wait for a while, I will give you a certain reward. What reward? In fact, Lin Jun didn't want to have a conflict with this group of mysterious people. There were already dozens of guards around him. Any one of the gold guards had over 10,000 star power, and the purple guard had 18,000 star power. It was obvious that the power behind these people was extremely powerful. It was best not to be enemies with them. Moreover, Luo Ho was eyeing him covetously. The purple guard sized up Lin Jun. If I'm not wrong, you should have the bloodline of the Fire Qilin. That's right. Lin Jun didn't hide anything. These people in front of him also emitted the aura of galactic beasts. Then I'll give this to you. You should need it. After speaking, the purple guard took out a small bottle. The light green liquid inside was swaying slightly. When it was opened, a rich fragrance wafted out. This is... Lin Jun instantly felt the blood in his body churning. His original body was still fine, but his clone on the spaceship actually had the urge to come back and absorb this liquid. This liquid could further enhance the transformation of his clone. Lin Jun's clone had the pure bloodline of the fire Qilin. He was still waiting for his clone's body to reach the peak of the infant stage before heading to the Qilin transformation pool in the Fire Qilin Empire's palace. Then, Lin Jun would have a clone with the strength of a domain monarch. However, transforming into a beast wasn't so simple. It needed to be accumulated overnight. Lin Jun didn't see any hope of his clone evolving in the short term. However, this liquid actually had a magical effect. Lin Jun was instantly shocked because he had never seen such a thing in any shopping mall or website. Seeing Lin Jun's shocked expression, the purple guard smiled. "You haven't seen it before, right? I'm the only one who has it. If you need it, you'll have to wait patiently for about an hour. Once we're done here, you can have it." "An hour?" "That's right. I can guarantee you that we will definitely leave this place in no more than 2 hours." Lin Jun didn't say anything. If this was the case, there was no harm in waiting for a while. Anyway, there was nothing here. These people wouldn't uproot the parasol tree, right? Seeing that Lin Jun didn't move, the guards didn't move either. The situation was temporarily in a stalemate. "It's a little hot." Lin Jun shook his clothes and felt that the temperature of the starry sky seemed to have increased slightly. This is the power of flames. Why does it feel a little familiar? Lin Jun was stunned for a moment before looking up into the distance. On the other side of planet Phoenix Perch, in the firmament of the universe, blue flames were rolling and burning. Oh no! Lin Jun's eyes widened instantly. There was the aura of a phoenix in the power of flames. Someone is reviving the little phoenix. Lin Jun had been painstakingly cultivating all these years, earning money to level up, all for the sake of waiting for this day. Resurrecting little phoenix was his wish, but had to be carried out through his own hands. How could he let others do it for him? He didn't know where these people came from, but they weren't qualified to revive the little phoenix. Seeing that the purple guard in front of him seemed to be a little careless, Lin Jun suddenly exploded. Gravity! Lin Jun's first move was to snatch the liquid medicine from the guard's hand. These guards were furious. They didn't expect Lin Jun to be so bold. They all raised their weapons and wanted to attack. Lin Jun's second move was the galaxy field. Galaxy star explosion. A cluster of stars shattered and shrouded all the guards. But in a hurry, Lin Jun's galaxy star explosion didn't reach its maximum power. The purple guard in front of him took most of the explosion's power alone. None of the guards were killed, but this was enough. Lin Jun didn't want to fight with these guards. His third move was planet teleportation. While the purple guard was blocking the explosion, Lin Jun directly teleported to the other side of planet Phoenix Perch, where the flames were rising. Chapter 579. Lin Jun teleported over and saw that the sky in front of him was already filled with green flames. The power of these flames was definitely stronger than the flames that little Phoenix released before it died. Although it was not as strong as his own dark green flames, it was not much different from medium green and dark green flames. Lin Jun also felt that there was a bloodline power in the flames. It was the bloodline of the Phoenix. It was not the little Phoenix that he knew, but it belonged to another Phoenix. Am I late? Lin Jun stood in the void and looked at a man in colorful robes in the distance. He was holding a fan that was glowing with colorful lights. Every time he waved his fan, the power of the flames in the area would grow stronger. In the center of the flames, there was a faint shadow of a little phoenix brewing there. That was the shadow of little Phoenix. At this point, Lin Jun didn't dare to move recklessly, because little Phoenix was about to be resurrected under the power of these flames. He was afraid that he would do something that would cause little Phoenix's resurrection to fail. That was not something that Lin Jun wanted to see, so he could only wait. The guards and martial artists chased over and saw that Lin Jun did not move. They did not dare to move either. Staying quiet was more important than anything else. Flames of the burning heavens. Burn. The man in colorful clothes waved the fan and fanned it repeatedly. Every time he fanned the fan, it seemed to be very strenuous for him. He was sweating profusely. Little Phoenix's shadow twisted slightly in the flames, but there was no sign of it transforming. What's going on? According to Little Master, Goddess's flames were only light green in color before she underwent nirvana. It was not that strong. Why can't these flames, which are close to dark green, revive her? Little Master is a phoenix. Goddess is also a phoenix. Their bloodlines are definitely connected. There is no doubt about that. The power must not be enough. I have to put in more effort. Peacock also saw Lin Jun's presence, but he did not have time to care about Lin Jun. The 4 purple crane guards and hundreds of divine hawk guards had gathered around to prevent Lin Jun from doing anything destructive. As the fan fanned, the flames formed a fire vortex and a huge firestorm. The space rippled under the huge firepower. Master, this man in colorful clothes has reached 23,000 star power. Lin Jun nodded silently. These people had given him enough shock. The man in colorful clothes in front of him was also a Nebula level 9, but his star power had surpassed Lin Jun's. Among the Nebula levels that Lin Jun had seen, only Luo Ho's star power was similar to this man. However, this man did not seem like an overlord because he was strong. Although he was strong, he did not have a domineering aura. Where do they come from? Chris, can you find out? Master, I can't find any relevant information. You have to know that my bank account is only a level 3 supreme. There are only 60 billion cosmos crystals in your bank account. Lin Jun was silent. His bank account was downgraded. If he wanted to return to a level 5 supreme, he had to deposit 100 billion cosmos crystals. However, a level 5 supreme would not be able to find any relevant information. A level 9 supreme might be able to, but unfortunately, he was not there yet. The man in colorful clothes had reached a critical moment. He waved the fan in his hand 3 times in a row. Fire-colored phoenix, show yourself. 3 huge, flaming phoenixes took shape in the fan. After circling in the void, they opened their mouths at the same time and turned the energy around them into fire snakes. They fiercely erupted at a point in space. The divine lady of the phoenix race, what are you waiting for? The fan pointed at the point where the flames were concentrated. The firepower there had reached a terrifying level. The figure of the little phoenix suddenly appeared. Is she going to appear? Lin Jun widened his eyes. He did not want to miss the moment of the little phoenix's resurrection. He did not know if the little phoenix, who was resurrected by someone else, would still recognize him. However, after the flames exploded, all the firepower was finally exhausted and began to dissipate in the void. At the center of the flames, there was no sign of the little phoenix. It was still empty. What? Failed? Peacock looked at the void in disbelief. She could not believe that the resurrection had failed. This is impossible. Little Master clearly told me that as long as the goddess is a phoenix, she will definitely be resurrected by the power of his bloodline. Moreover, the time is not up yet. There is no possibility of failure. However, a failure was a failure. After waiting for a full 5 minutes, the heat in the void had dissipated. There was still no sign of the little phoenix. Peacock wiped the sweat off her forehead. She turned around and glared at Lin Jun. It's you. It must be you, the outsider. You are the one who ruined the resurrection operation. Lin Jun wanted to explain, but Peacock had no intention of explaining. She pointed at Lin Jun and said, "Take this man down. We need an explanation when we get back. You all saw that he was the one who ruined it." "We saw it." All the guards replied in unison. Since the mission had failed, no one would be able to reap any benefits. There must be a scapegoat, and this new territory's barbarian was the best candidate. Lin Jun saw the situation and scoffed. "Don't be so arrogant. Even if you can defeat me, when my big brother arrives, none of you will be able to escape." Lin Jun saw a wormhole in the void. It was not a natural wormhole, but a man-made one. He did not know where it led, but it must be the way these people came. What big brother? When we came here, we already investigated this place. This place is called the Chaotic Star River. Even Star Domain stage people can't enter. At most, they're nebulous stage. Even if you have a big brother, coming here is just suicide. That's not necessarily true. If you have the guts, wait for 3 minutes. He will be here soon. Don't even think about stalling for time. Go! Peacock ordered all the guards to rush forward. Lin Jun waved his yin-yang spear and entered the battle. This battle was not going to be easy. Even if the color-clothed man did not make a move, the 4 purple guards with 18,000 star power were not easy to deal with. Each of them had power close to Ji-Du, and there were hundreds of golden guards with over 10,000 star power. Lin Jun did not have much of an advantage. However, it was impossible to take down Lin Jun with just these people. After all, Lin Jun had over 20,000 star power. If Lin Jun was given enough time, he would be able to take down these people one by one. However, Lin Jun did not do so. That would only attract the color-clothed man's attention, and he would not have a chance. He needed to stall for time and wait for reinforcements to arrive. Lin Jun's ship did not fly very far. Just as he realized something was wrong, his doppelganger flew the ship over. He wanted to lure Luo Ho over. At sublight speed, after 10 minutes of flying, the ship was close to Planet Phoenix Perch. When they arrived, the spaceship immediately rushed over, causing the warriors who were besieging Lin Jun to dodge. With a flash of light, the Eternity Crystal warship entered Lin Jun's dark star space. Although the surrounding warriors didn't know what was going on with this battleship, but in this kind of close combat, a battleship was simply useless. They didn't care what was going on. Anyway, it seemed that as long as they put in a little more effort, this arrogant kid in front of them would be taken down. Once again, everyone rushed forward and began to surround Lin Jun. However, Lin Jun had a movable mountain and strong mental power. Although these warriors from the primordial realm were strong, it would not be easy to take down Lin Jun. Peacock was a little anxious. She did not expect this barbarian from the new territories to be so difficult to deal with. It seemed that she had to do something. Just as Peacock was about to make a move, there was a buzzing sound in the sky. Luo Ho's ship appeared. Lin Jun faced the siege and shouted into the void, "Brother, here!" The black ship disappeared, and Luo Ho's figure appeared. Black clothes, black robes, and surging stellar power that could not be suppressed. Coupled with the natural evil aura of the leader of the 7 malevolent stars, everyone present stopped attacking. They did not expect such a person to exist in the new territories. In the impression of the people from the primordial realm, the warriors of the new territories could not be compared to those from the primordial realm. For example, an expert like Peacock could dominate the new territories in the nebula realm. However, the man in black in front of them made them feel a lot of pressure. This person was extremely dangerous. Even Peacock, who had always been confident in her victory, had a serious look on her face. Luo Ho was used to being domineering. He could say without boasting that in the entire universe, there were no more than 100 Nebula Realm experts who could beat him in a one-on-one battle. Moreover, this was the galactic disarray, a forbidden zone in the Nebula Realm. It was impossible to meet less than 100 people in the entire universe. Therefore, in the galactic disarray, he did not need to care about anyone. Therefore, even if there was a group of flies around Lin Jun, Luo Ho did not care at all. He walked in the void and headed straight for Lin Jun. His target was Lin Jun, but the others did not see it that way. Peacock's expression turned serious and said to the purple crane guards, "Take this kid down as soon as possible. I'll deal with this newcomer." After saying that, Peacock went up to him. Luo Ho saw a warrior dressed like a turkey coming over and wave his hand without a word. "Get lost. You're the one who should get lost." No matter how strong Luo Ho was, Peacock, a guest from the primordial realm, was not afraid of him. The two of them fought on the spot. Luo Ho did not think that these people were Lin Jun's companions, and Peacock did not necessarily think that Luo Ho was Lin Jun's elder brother. They only fought because they did not want to be disturbed and did not want to cause trouble. This was the confidence of the strong. They did not want to explain anything, and there was no need to. Boom! A huge shockwave exploded between the two of them like a nuclear explosion. When the two of them fought, their strength was about the same. One was an expert from the primordial realm, The other was an overlord of the arena. When the two of them saw that they had met each other, they knew that a fight between experts could not be delayed. A fierce battle immediately broke out. Chapter 580. Peacock and Luo Ho had finally started fighting. This made Lin Jun feel less pressured. As long as he did not fight with these two, Lin Jun would be safe. Seeing that Luo Ho and Peacock were in a stalemate, Lin Jun immediately started killing. At this moment, Lin Jun could almost feel that these warriors did not come from this world. At least they were not from a high-leveled civilization nearby. They might have come from a faraway country or even an unknown place. But no matter who they were, no matter why they wanted to revive Little Phoenix, Lin Jun could not accept it. His doppelganger also took out his horizon spear. With two spears in hand, it was impenetrable. The moment a condor martial artist crossed paths with Lin Jun stabbed out with his spear. The spear crushed the brain, and the first headless corpse fell to the ground. "How dare you? How dare you kill our people? Do you know who we are?" A purple guard shouted. Lin Jun laughed coldly. "No matter who you are not as important as my own safety. Since you don't want to talk, then there's no need to." The two spears moved left and right. Another two condor guards were pierced through the heart and died on the spot. "How dare you? First team, charge with me." A purple guard rose into the air, with dozens of golden warriors behind him. After rising into the air, they twisted their bodies and turned into galactic beasts. Looking at the giant purple crane with a wingspan of 30 meters and the condors with a wingspan of 20 meters, Lin Jun had a thought. The condors, the purple crane, and the man in colorful clothes fighting Luo Ho seemed to be a peacock. These bird-type galactic beasts were here to revive the king of birds, Phoenix. What was their connection? Although this was what he thought, Lin Jun was overjoyed when he saw them preparing to charge together. Good timing. When this group of martial artists charged downwards, the other martial artists even opened up some space for them to charge. This might be a tactic that they often used in the past. This made it more convenient for Lin Jun. He put his spears in one hand and waved his other hand. Spatial slash. Swathes of space cracks whizzed out, giving the bird-type galactic beasts from the primordial realm a taste of the power of the new territories. Starlight flickered on the body of the purple crane guard at the front. After withstanding over a dozen spatial cracks, he finally could not hold on any longer. His neck was directly severed by a spatial crack, and he was beheaded on the spot. With Purple Crane dead, the Godhawk Imperial bodyguards behind him were unable to withstand a single blow from Lin Jun's spatial slash. Blood splattered everywhere. More than half of the charging Divine Eagles were killed. Only a few managed to escape this calamity. After suffering this heavy blow, the martial artists besieging Lin Jun didn't dare to continue charging forward in groups. They were simply sitting ducks. However, Lin Jun's methods were still endless, especially the omnipresent spiritual evil spirit all, which was even harder to guard against. The sudden appearance of time acceleration and time deceleration was even more unpredictable. Another Purple Crane martial artist fell under Lin Jun's time acceleration spear. There was also Lin Jun's full-powered galaxy domain. The Godhawk martial artists didn't have the ability to resist the galaxy domain. Batches of them fell under the galaxy star explosion. Of course, the strongest was still Lin Jun's spear techniques. Collapse and illusion god strikes struck down his opponents one by one. These martial artists from the primordial realm had many methods and various combat techniques. However, they were not on the same level as Lin Jun. Basically, for those who fought with Lin Jun for the first time, as long as their star power wasn't higher than Lin Jun's, there was absolutely no chance of winning. As the battle progressed, the number of martial artists besieging Lin Jun decreased. When the third Purple Crane martial artist fell under Lin Jun's collapse spear technique, there was only one Purple Crane left on their side, as well as more than 30 Godhawk martial artists. These people couldn't continue besieging Lin Jun. Instead, they retreated far away, trembling in fear. They didn't dare to approach Lin Jun anymore. Seeing that these people were no longer moving, Lin Jun didn't pursue them. Putting away his spear, Lin Jun began his most important task, which was to revive little Phoenix. The power of the dark star surged. The dark green flame hidden in the depths of the dark star appeared at Lin Jun's fingertips. At this time, Lin Jun wasn't very confident. Peacock had failed previously. Could his little Phoenix be successfully revived? But no matter what, Lin Jun would do his best. Burning heaven flame. With a wave of his hand, a black hole appeared above Lin Jun's head. It was like a giant eye in the sky, emitting a terrifying aura from the depths of the black hole. What is this? It's a black hole. How can this person control a black hole? Retreat, retreat. The black hole will swallow everything. The surrounding martial artists retreated almost simultaneously. No one dared to get within a few dozen kilometers of Lin Jun. Even Luo Ho and Peacock, who were fighting fiercely in the distance, stopped at the same time. They looked at Lin Jun and the spinning black hole with fear and shock. The black hole swelled in the air, and the dark star's firepower suddenly erupted. Kaboom! The dark green flame swept out like a tidal wave, instantly filling the void. What's going on? This person wants to revive the goddess too? But he doesn't have the Phoenix bloodline. He can't succeed. Peacock squinted her eyes slightly, but she quickly calmed down. From her point of view, the goddess could not be revived. She didn't succeed. This arrogant kid would not succeed either. But the flames were getting more and more intense. It was even stronger than the flames she released earlier. Under the burning of the flames, the space showed signs of collapsing. Although the space had an extremely strong self-healing ability, but at the center of the flames, the space was like a broken mirror. Cracks appeared without any gaps. This firepower is strong enough to endanger my life. A sense of danger rose in her heart. Peacock turned around and looked at Luo Ho. Luo Ho was also looking at her. At that moment, the two of them came to a tacit agreement. New territories champion, I have to admit that you are very strong. But we have no grudge against each other. This person has killed many of my subordinates. I want to eliminate this person first and then leave this place. What do you think? I don't know where you came from, but I must kill this person. Since that's the case, let's work together to get rid of him, and then we'll go our separate ways, Rahu said in a hoarse and sinister voice. All right, it's a deal. The two champions quickly came to an agreement. They began to circle around Lin Jun. But it was not easy to get close to Lin Jun. There were dark green flames everywhere. Even they did not dare to get close to him. They could only look for openings and slowly approach him. Lin Jun did not seem to notice the two approaching. He was using all his strength to set the fire. The temperature in the air had reached the limit of his ability. At the center of the flames, the shadow of a little phoenix appeared again. It's not gone. This is great. The little phoenix's true spirit has not disappeared. She's still there. 9 years. More than 9 years. I've waited for this day for too long. Now listen to my call and come back from the endless darkness, my little baby. Lin Jun bit his finger and activated his star power. A stream of blood turned into a blood arrow and shot into the void. CSI. The blood was not melted by the burning heaven flame. It directly shot onto the little phoenix's shadow. The little phoenix's shadow began to solidify at this moment. Lin Jun's heart was shaken. He was indescribably excited. His star power erupted again, causing the blood in his body to spray out. No wonder that Peacock could not resurrect you. Because in my little baby's body and soul, my blood flows, Lin Jun's blood. You're no longer a phoenix in the ordinary sense. You belong to me, one of a kind. This journey of nirvana should be over. My little baby, rise from the ashes. The last stream of powerful firepower was shot out together with a stream of blood, arrow, and merged into the center of the flames. At this moment, colorful lights shone in the sky. The flames filled the sky, and the little phoenix seemed to have come alive in the center of the flames. Chirp, chirp. Following two phoenix cries, all the flames returned to the center. Then a beautiful little phoenix flapped its wings in the middle of the flames. Luo Ho and Peacock, who were trying to get closer, stopped in their tracks and looked at the sky in fear. That was because the little phoenix was emitting the aura of a domain monarch. Chirp, chirp. Lin Jun felt his eyes sting. He was waiting for the little phoenix to appear. All the light and heat gathered. Finally, it flickered in the sky, and then turned into nothingness. Gone. Could this be another failure? Lin Jun stared at the void in disbelief. There was indeed nothing there. There was nothing left. Ha ha! You overestimate yourself. Our resurrection has failed, yet you still refuse to give up. This is simply impossible to succeed. Now prepare to die. Lin Jun, the scenery here is not bad. You will be buried here. Peacock and Luoho saw that Lin Jun had also failed. They were relieved. At the same time, they teleported to Lin Jun's side and launched a powerful attack at the same time. At this moment, Lin Jun was extremely depressed. 9 years of hard work had failed. He did not even want to fight back. However, his strong willpower as a martial artist did not allow him to do so. He used a movable mountain to block the attacks of the two masters. However, the two of them were stronger than Lin Jun. Under their combined efforts, Lin Jun was blasted from the void to Phoenix Perch. He fell like a cannonball, and his body crashed into a parasol tree. Swish, swish. Luoho and Peacock teleported to Lin Jun at the same time. They looked down at Lin Jun. Victory was already in their hands. Is there no chance left? Lin Jun felt the blood and qi in his chest churning. If he continued fighting today, it might be his last battle. However, Lin Jun would not allow himself to fail. Even if he died, he would drag Luoho and Peacock down with him. Forcing himself to stand up, Lin Jun's body glowed with starlight. He was ready to self-destruct his energy center and dark star. The dark star was a physical entity. If it self-destructed in this situation, the two of them would not be able to survive. Lin Jun, prepare to die. Prepare to die. The two of them were still unaware and were ready to launch their final attack. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. A gentle breeze blew, and the leaves of the parasol tree rustled. A faint fragrance descended from the sky. The wind blew the leaves. An angel had descended to the mortal world. A rainbow light surrounded her. A fairy had descended to the mortal world. A woman with waist-length black hair, starry eyes, and red lips gently held onto Lin Jun's waist. She did not speak, but the emotions in her eyes had already revealed her deep longing. Wait for me for a while. Lin Jun could not help but nod. After so many years of hard work, hearing this sentence, everything was worth it. The fairy turned around. An array of light exploded in the universe. Peacock Rahu fell to the ground with a single slash. All of their protective treasures, all of their trump cards, had been destroyed by this slash. They vomited blood. They could not believe it. They could not accept it. The two of them could not block this woman's attack. Feng Qingwan moved lightly. The gentleness on her face towards Lin Jun was gone. It was covered with frost. The domineering aura of a gang leader shot to the sky. Chapter 581. Underscore 4 RT 1 J Y Phi 3N YQ 7 I. Luo Ho's and Peacock's morale had been crushed. Our Luo Ho did not expect this beautiful woman to be so powerful. Even among the domain monarchs, she was definitely one of the best. Our Peacock would never have guessed that the cosmic level goddess the young master spoke was actually a powerful domain monarch. Our both of them were strong in the cosmic level, but in front of a domain monarch, they were nothing. Our this woman's dominance and murderous aura were not something an ordinary woman could possess. Our Feng Qingwan walked forward slowly. Between her eyebrows was a bright red birthmark. But in the eyes of Luo Ho and Peacock, it was like the eye of the Grim Reaper. Our cough, goddess, you can't kill me. We are of the same race. Our Peacock saw that she was no match for her and immediately begged for mercy. Our, who is of the same race as you? A 5-colored peacock galactic beast is just an ordinary bird. An ordinary bird is an ordinary bird. You want to be related to a phoenix? What a joke. Our Feng Qingwan did not buy it. Her 3-meter-long machete was still stained with the blood of the two. She was about to kill him. Or no. Miss Goddess, I'm your subordinate. Although I'm just a peacock, we're both bird-type galactic beasts. When you get to the Yuan realm with me, you'll know everything. We're definitely not enemies. I'm here to resurrect you. I don't mean any harm, not even a little bit. Our primordial realm? Our Feng Qingwan paused. Then she looked at the wormhole thoughtfully. Our what is the primordial realm? Lin Jun asked from behind. Our peacock glanced at Raho. She was wary. The way she saw it, this man in black was a dangerous character. Our Feng Qingwan's eyes fell on Luo Ho, and her eyes flashed with killing intent. She could ask Peacock some questions, but this Luo Ho was useless. Our Luo Ho also saw Feng Qingwan's killing intent, and he felt unlucky. Rit was originally a battle where victory was in their grasp, but who would have thought that a goddess of death would appear out of nowhere and turn the situation around? However, Raho was not a pushover. He still had one last trick up his sleeve. That was to make a breakthrough on the spot and become a domain monarch. He had been suppressed at the Nebula grade for too long in order to cultivate the ominous star map. After so many years, he had obtained the ominous star map, but now it was too late to cultivate it. If he did not break through now, he would lose his life. He let out a strange cackle as black smoke rose from his body. You're nothing more than an early-stage star field girl, and you want to take this old man's life? You're still too inexperienced. Don't even think about living today. Seeing that Luo Ho was about to make a breakthrough, Feng Qingwan sneered. Do you think I will give you such a chance? The resplendent blade light flashed once again. Luo Ho's breakthrough speed was not slow. After so many years, he could reach the star field stage with just a thought, so the breakthrough was almost instantaneous. However, the moment it was done, he had to face Feng Qingwan's blade. Open. Luo Ho's sword met Feng Qingwan's blade light. After a buzz, the battle was over. A red mark appeared on Luo Ho's throat, and then with a crack his sword broke and his head fell to the ground. Luo Ho, who had broken through to the star field stage, was still killed by Feng Qingwan. This scene made Peacock's hands and feet go cold. Luo Ho's strength had deeply shocked her. He was definitely a star field stage master, but he still could not block a single attack from the woman in front of her. She was indeed the goddess of the Phoenix clan. This kind of combat power was simply shocking. Even in the Yuan realm, she was definitely not mediocre. Behind Feng Qingwan, Chris was talking to Lin Jun. Master, I can't measure Miss Feng Qingwan's star power now. Because at my current level, I can only measure warriors with star power below 100,000. I can't measure warriors with star power above 100,000. I can only be sure that her star power is above 100,000. 100,000 star power. What kind of level is that? 100,000 star power. She's considered a genius domain monarch, but she's not a top genius. When Luo Ho broke through just now, his star power also exceeded 100,000, but he was still killed by Miss Qingwan in one strike. Thus, her star power should be much more than 100,000. Lin Jun was pleasantly surprised. The stronger Feng Qingwan was, the happier he would be. However, compared to her, his current achievements were nothing. But Lin Jun would not be jealous of Feng Qingwan. He would only work hard to improve himself. Feng Qingwan killed Luo Ho and turned to Lin Jun. Lin Jun, what should we do with Peacock? Lin Jun walked up and took Luo Ho's space ring. Let's ask him about the Yuan realm first. Feng Qingwan nodded and looked at Lin Jun. She held onto Lin Jun's arm and waved to Peacock. Come here and tell Lin Jun everything you know. If you don't tell him, you will end up like that guy. Peacock did not dare to refuse. Luo Ho could not escape from being killed when he broke through to the domain king level. He would not be so crazy as to seek his own death. He came to Feng Qingwan and showed a flattering smile first. Slap. Feng Qingwan gave her a slap. Why are you smiling at me in front of the man I like? Bitch. Peacock lowered her head with tears in her eyes. She could not imagine how this goddess could be so fierce. He had thought that the goddess would be an aloof, otherworldly woman. There was nothing to nitpick about the woman in front of him, but her personality, he really couldn't accept it. Little Master was going to marry the goddess. But the goddess already had someone else in her heart. This was going to be difficult. Seeing Peacock's eyes darting around, Feng Qingwan raised an eyebrow. What are you thinking? Hurry up and tell me. Oh. I'll talk. Our peacock was afraid of being hit again. It's like this. The Yuan realm and the new territories actually belong to the same universe. It's just that one is from countless years ago and the other is from countless years later. But they exist at the same time. Our seeing that the two of them did not understand, Peacock started to gesture. I believe you have heard that when the universe was first born, it was just a dot. Then there was a big bang and the universe was born. What we're going to talk about now is this that did not just explode when it was born. It was nurtured for countless years and formed into an indescribably huge egg, or something shaped like an egg. When it exploded, most of the inner layer of the egg exploded and formed many huge pieces of land. These pieces of land expanded in space, just like the yolk of an egg. The inner layer in the middle separates the yolk from the egg white. Beyond the land, there is an endless void, which is where we are now. This place, according to the Yuan realm, is a new universe, a new world. We call it the New Territories, because after it was born in the Yuan realm, the living world of the Yuan realm had already been formed. And a long time after the cultivation civilization, the New Territories began to give birth to life. Like the New Territories, the Yuan realm is also huge. But instead of this endless void, it is an endless land. The planets in the void are very small in the Yuan realm. Let's make a simple example. There's a lake in the Yuan realm called the Fallen Star Lake. If there's a huge wave that rises into the sky, it can even swallow a planet into the lake. Do you think the Yuan realm is big? Our Feng Qingwan said, swallow a planet into the lake? If it is a star, want to dry up the lake? Miss, the size of a planet compared to the Fallen Star Lake is like a piece of charcoal thrown into the sea in your world. Do you think the charcoal can affect the sea? Lin Zhen and Feng Qingwan listened attentively. So there was another world in the universe, and it was much older than the universe they knew now. Then why have we never seen the Yuan realm? The primordial realm and the new realm are not connected. The membrane between the two separates them. If a spaceship flies to the edge of the primordial realm, it can only travel through the endless void. It will never reach the end. You can't go, and we can't come. But you still came. Feng Qingwan pointed at the wormhole. My young miss, do you think this wormhole is easy to make? This thing is very expensive, and it was left by the old master. If the young master hadn't said that we must find you, we wouldn't have been able to come here at all. In the whole Galactic Beast Alliance, this thing can be counted on one hand. Unless it is a last resort, it will not be used. Wait, did you just say the Galactic Beast Alliance? Lin Zhen asked suddenly. Yes. You may not know, but now the headquarters of the Dimensional Universe Corporation, the Dimensional Arena, the Galactic Beast Alliance, the First Bank of the Universe, and other giants in the New Territories are all in the Yuan realm. Lin Zhen was speechless. No wonder he never knew where the headquarters of the Dimensional Universe Corporation were. It was not in this world at all. No wonder he couldn't find it. Our Peacock continued. The Galactic Beast Alliance is divided into many tribes, such as the Dragon Clan, the Phoenix Clan, the Kirin Clan, the White Tiger Clan, the Black Tortoise Clan, and so on. Every tribe is powerful and has a place in the Yuan realm. I am the subordinate of the young master of the Phoenix Clan. This time, I came here for this Mississippi. Our little master calculated in the primordial realm that the goddess would be reborn here. So he specially asked me to bring his blood and fire here to revive the goddess and bring her back to the Phoenix Clan. What happened after that? You all know. What is your young master's name? Why does he want me to go to the Yuan realm? Our young master's name is Junimo Miss. Your blood is pure, and your strength is outstanding. You are the best candidate for the Phoenix Clan's goddess. Since you are the Phoenix Clan's goddess, you naturally have to return to the Phoenix Clan. There is no need to explain why. Chapter 582. Hearing Peacock's introduction, Feng Qingwan said uninterestedly, not all phoenixes are family. I have my own life. Why should I go to the primordial realm? I'm not going. Peacock was confused. Don't Mississippi. Do you know the difference between the primordial realm and the new territories? What's the difference? Isn't it about martial arts? The difference is huge. The primordial realm is full of dark energy, and it's easier to cultivate. The environment there is good training. On the mainland, the gravity is strong, and the pressure is strong. The warriors are strong too. Miss, look at my strength now. I'm definitely one of the strongest in the nebulous stage in the new territories. Do you agree? Feng Qinghuan nodded slightly. In the nebulous stage, Peacock's strength should be super strong. Before her nirvana, her strength was far from Peacock's. However, after the Phoenix race was reborn, her strength skyrocketed. Not only did she enter the nebulous stage directly, but her potential was also stimulated. That was why she could kill Luo Ho, who had just advanced. But she was an exception, and it was not easy to compare her to Peacock. However, with my current strength, I'm still far from the galactic era of the Yuan realm. Even within the Galactic Beast Alliance, my strength isn't ranked at the top, let alone in the greater thousand domains outside. The gap is as wide as the ocean. Is there such a huge difference? Lin Jun was in disbelief. It's true. In the primordial realm, only nebulous stage experts with more than 30,000 star power are considered geniuses. Lin Jun and Feng Qinghuan looked at each other. They both felt the terror of the primordial realm. Miss, if you go to the primordial realm, your strength and cultivation will definitely improve. With the resources of the Phoenix race, I believe you will rise in the primordial realm one day. Feng Qinghuan shook her head. I'm not going. I want to stay here with Lin Jun. Saying that, Feng Qinghuan held Lin Jun's arm and gently leaned her head on Lin Jun's shoulder. She smiled contentedly, completely different from her usual demeanor as a gangster queen. Lin Jun also smiled. He also did not want to leave the little phoenix. However, Peacock did not give up on persuading her. Instead, she continued, My lady, I have to remind you of something. If you refuse to follow me to the primordial realm, are you going to stay in this chaotic galaxy forever with your little lover? Feng Qinghuan said, Why do I have to stay in the chaotic Star River? Although I like this planet, I still have to travel around the boundless universe with him. Of course, I can't stay in one place forever. That's right. I did some research before I came. If you want to leave the chaotic Star River, you can only go through the light corridor or the dark corridor. However, don't forget that the domain monarch's power can't pass through. Miss, you've already advanced to the star domain stage. If you want to leave, you can only pass through the endless meteorite belt that's tens of thousands of light years away. At this point, Peacock chuckled coldly. Inside the asteroid belt, space turbulence is rampant. If Miss wants to pass through it successfully, she will need at least 20,000 years to do so. Can you and your little lover make it through? I highly doubt it. Hearing this, Feng Qinghuan's face instantly turned pale. Rising from the ashes allowed her power to soar into the star domain stage. But at the same time, it also prevented her from leaving the chaotic Star River. Of course, it was impossible to spend 10,000 years or even more with Lin Jun to pass through the asteroid belt. However, she could not pass through the light corridor. What should she do? Did she have to stay on planet Fengqi forever, or be separated from Lin Jun forever? Such an ending was definitely not what Feng Qinghuan wanted. Peacock was still trying to persuade her tirelessly. Miss, you have to think carefully. Follow me to the primordial realm now. As long as you can get another wormhole egg, you can change your coordinates and return to the new territories. That's the fastest way for you to meet him. Other than that, there's no other way. Feng Qinghuan's breathing was a little heavy. Her knuckles were a little white as she grabbed Lin Jun's hand. It was obvious that she was extremely nervous. After hearing Peacock's explanation, Lin Jun patted Qinghuan's little hand to comfort her. Then he asked, Is the wormhole egg easy to get? Peacock was a little hesitant. Lin Jun's face darkened. I want to hear the truth. Peacock did not dare to hide too much. She could only say, It's not easy. It's too expensive. If it wasn't for the importance of this matter, we wouldn't use it. Moreover, there's no more in the clan. Without astronomical wealth, we can't afford to use the wormhole egg. Otherwise, the new territories would have been ruled by the primordial realm. So that's the case. Other than the wormhole egg, Is there any other way to go to the primordial realm? There is. I know of a country called the Sky River Empire. In the Sagittarius Nebula, the Pillar of Life appears every 10,000 years. At the top of the Pillar of Life is a heavenly gate. The heavenly gate is the only way for the warriors of the new territories to enter the primordial realm. If you want to enter the upper realm, you have to leap over the heavenly gate. Peacock suddenly snapped her fingers. It's like a carp leaping over the dragon gate. Those who pass through can expect to reach the great Tao. You mean the Sky River Empire? The Sagittarius constellation? Yes. The Pillar of Life of the Sagittarius constellation has just appeared. To tell you the truth, many world king powerhouses in the new territories have gone to the leaping heavenly gate. You haven't seen many world kings recently, right? Linjun nodded. He knew about this. Little Phoenix's master, the Chaos World King, Yihua's father, the Mechanical World King, and even the Fire Qilin Emperor, Tian Haoyu, had gone. You have to be careful. I estimate that more and more people will know about the Pillar of Life in the future. Some of the domain kings may also go. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Countless people in the new territories are fighting for it. Feng Qingwan raised her head. Is the heavenly gate very difficult? Of course it is, but those people have to fight for it. As far as I know, the peak of cultivation in the new territories is the peak of World King. Beyond that, there's no way to go any further. So going to the primordial realm is inevitable. Miss, don't hesitate. This is the only path you can take. Saying that, he pointed at Lin Jun. If you want to meet your little lover again and be together forever, then this is the fastest way. Whether it's you getting the wormhole egg or him leaping over the heavenly gate to enter the primordial realm, it's much easier and safer than passing through the endless meteorite belt. Besides, the earlier you go to the primordial realm, the sooner you can improve yourself. Today's temporary separation is for the sake of a better future together. Miss, that's all I have to say. You can choose for yourselves. But I have to remind you that this wormhole is unstable. It can only last for less than half an hour. After this, there won't be another chance. You can decide for yourselves. After saying that, Peacock sat on the side and waited, leaving the two of them some space. Feng Qingwan held Lin Jun's hand tightly. She lowered her head for a while before saying, "Let's go sit on the tree." The two of them jumped up, and in the next moment, they were already in the canopy of the parasol tree. Sitting on a branch, Feng Qingwan gently leaned her head on Lin Jun's shoulder. "Lin Jun, in order to resurrect me, you must have suffered a lot, right? It's nothing much. Isn't this what I should do?" Actually, when I died back then, I knew that you would definitely succeed. It's just that I didn't think that you would do even better than I imagined. You could revive me with a medium blue flame, but you managed to revive me with a dark blue flame. This also made me even stronger after I was revived. Otherwise, I might not have been able to defeat that Rahu. I was also worried. I was worried that you would be resurrected by that peacock. Then all my years of hard work would have been in vain. Feng Qingwan suddenly covered her mouth and laughed. Why? Jealous? Lin Jun's face turned red. It was a tacit admission. A pair of jade arms wrapped around Lin Jun's neck. Her beautiful face gently rubbed Lin Jun's cheek. In fact, they almost succeeded. I was also aware of their resurrection. It's just that the blood of that Jun Mo is not exactly the same as mine. Although we are both phoenixes, there is also your blood in my blood. Only we are connected by blood, so no one else can succeed, only you. Feng Qingwan's intimacy made him a little restless. With such a beauty in his arms, even a stone could not help but transform, let alone Lin Jun. Seeing that Lin Jun's breathing was a little heavy, Feng Qingwan smiled and said, "You are so embarrassing." It's already very difficult to do what I did. You still make fun of me. Yes, you are the most heroic. Juana loves you. Why don't you marry me as your wife? What? Lin Jun suddenly looked back at Feng Qingwan. What? Don't tell me that you don't want to marry me? Although Feng Qingwan, have been in the gang since I was a child, I'm also a good girl with a clean body. Am I not good enough for you? Looking at Qingwan, who pouted like a little girl in front of him, Lin Jun immediately nodded. Of course not. I naturally want Juana, but isn't it too hasty now? What's the hurry? This is the matter between you and me. It doesn't need other people to bear witness. The universe and stars can bear witness. It's enough for you and me to recognize each other. Feng Qingwan acted quickly. She raised her hand and tore a piece under the fiery red skirt and gently covered the top of her head. Lin Jun, let the universe that gave birth to us as a witness. Let me marry your Luan, as my wife. Lin Jun walked over and gently held Feng Qingwan's white hand. Two people knelt on the branches, facing the vast universe. Lin Jun said loudly, "The universe will bear witness to this agreement." Feng Qingwan also opened her mouth. Her soft voice was still valiant and heroic. "The stars will bear witness to this." Lin Jun raised his hand, and a beam of light fell from the sky and fell on the two people. The surroundings were dark, but there was only light here. Sky light turns to moon. Feng Qingwan also raised her hand, and a soft white flame fell slowly from the sky, like a wedding lantern. Divine flame, falling heroes. Wan is my wife. There is no end to it. Lin Jun is my husband. Wan will follow you in life and death. Lin Jun gently lifted Feng Qingwan's red veil. She was so beautiful that people were dazzled. "Husband, please kiss your wife." Feng Qingwan took the initiative to say. Lin Jun swallowed his saliva and felt a little dreamy. Did he have such an excellent wife? Chapter 583. When he was pressed against the tree by Feng Qingwan, Lin Jun's first reaction was that this girl didn't know the meaning of the word husband at all. However, although Feng Qingwan's actions were domineering, when it came to kissing, she was clumsy and cute. After their lips touched, she couldn't move at all. As a battle-hardened Lin Jun, this was the best time to save his face. Hugging, caressing, and sometimes heavy caressing made the proud girl dizzy and disoriented. Her whole body was sore and powerless. Her star power that was as high as 100,000 or 200,000 was completely useless. 5 minutes later, Feng Qingwan had softened into a puddle of mud, weakly leaning on Lin Jun's arms and gasping. "Lin Jun, don't kiss, or I won't be willing to leave." Lin Jun sighed softly. When Peacock said those words, he knew that he must let Qingwan leave. If she didn't leave, she would be trapped in the chaotic Star River forever, which was unacceptable to Lin Jun. Leaving was for the sake of meeting in the future. This must be a trade-off. Children can be sentimental, but heroes can't be short-tempered. Qingwan, in the chaotic Star River, Yihua and Tianxi who plotted against you have been killed by me. Lin Jun felt that it was necessary to tell Feng Qingwan about this matter. "I know. How do you know?" Lin Jun felt that it was very incredible. "Maybe it's telepathy. I am your wife by blood." Feng Qingwan once again gave Lin Jun a kiss, making him feel that this matter was right. "Husband, after I leave, you have to help me take care of the Sisters of Qingwan Association. Master is not here, and I am not here. It's okay for a short time, but after a long time, those enemies will definitely find trouble with them." "Don't worry, I will." Gently stroking Feng Qingwan's hair, Lin Jun said his worry. "Wan I feel that the person who looked for you may have bad intentions." Lin Jun was very clear about how excellent Feng Qingwan was. He had seen many women in his previous life, but none of them could surpass Qingwan. If she wasn't like this, she wouldn't have attracted the attention of the people from the primordial realm. Feng Qingwan nodded gently, but said confidently, "You can rest assured about this. No one can force me to do things that I don't like. It's good that Jun Mo knows what's good for him. If he dares to act recklessly, I will make him regret becoming a human. I believe you. Wait for me." The two of them hugged each other, and the time was quiet and warm. "Cough, cough. Miss, the wormhole will close in 3 minutes. If you don't leave now, you will never be able to leave this place." Peacock reminded him loudly under the tree. Feng Qingwan raised her head in Lin Jun's arms, and she still couldn't stop the tears in her eyes. "Lin Jun, don't let me wait too long." "No, I'll be there as soon as possible. 1,000 years. Peacock said that the gate of heaven will be open for 1,000 years. I will give you 1,000 years. I will not come back to find you. I want you to come find me." Of course, I will definitely come find you. I married you in a hurry. When you find me, you will have to pursue me again. Okay, I will let my baby enjoy the taste of being pursued. If you don't come after 1,000 years, I will divorce you. Looking at Feng Qingluan's charming and cold little face, Lin Jun was a bit speechless. This was Feng Qingluan's style. That moment of tenderness was just a fleeting moment. Most of the time, he was still the little phoenix who could go up to the sky and down to the ground. He could kill monsters and demons at any time and fight with his sword. Within 1,000 years, I will definitely appear in front of you. On the parasol tree, Lin Jun made his promise. Under the guidance of Peacock, Feng Qingluan rose into the sky and went straight to the wormhole that was about to disappear. Husband, remember to come find your wife. Her sobbing voice echoed in the air. The wormhole closed, and the beauty was gone. Feng Qingluan's departure didn't wear down Lin Jun's will. Instead, it stimulated his belief and made him move forward without stopping. 1,000 years was a long time, but it wasn't much for martial artists. It was common for martial artists to go into seclusion for 100 years or even a few hundred years. If he wanted to find Qingluan in the primordial realm in the future, it would undoubtedly be a difficult task. Without a strong backing, it was impossible. At least with Lin Jun's current strength, he would definitely be the weakest in the primordial realm. However, Lin Jun wasn't in a hurry. More haste, less speed. Cultivation still had to be done step by step. After sorting out the melancholy of his wife's departure, Lin Jun opened the space ring left behind by Luo Ho. A level 9 Supreme Bank card appeared. Lin Jun picked up the card and looked at the date of the card. It was even a few hundred years ago. Without a doubt, there was more than 90 billion in this card. In the end, the bank benefited. He didn't know how much money the bank could make in a year. If this was an ornament, it would undoubtedly be the most expensive ornament. This is... Lin Jun took out a book from the ring. It was actually the first level of the Taiyuan sword technique. This is the sword technique obtained by the fifth ghost. I didn't expect it to be in Luo Ho's hands. With this, I'll be able to collect all the Taiyuan sword techniques. This is an ancient sword technique. I didn't know where the ancient manuals came from, but now I know. It should have been passed down from the primordial realm. It's definitely powerful. The value of this sword technique was almost immeasurable. However, Lin Jun hadn't decided whether to cultivate it himself or exchange it for something. He kept it first. Continuing to flip through Luo Ho's ring, Lin Jun's attention was attracted by a picture. It was an ancient scroll-like thing. Lin Jun slowly opened it. A murderous aura, like the gathering of billions of galactic beasts, rushed towards him. The soul forces of the 7 malevolent stars howled crazily and swooped down, wanting to devour Lin Jun's soul. Luo Ho, Ji-Du, Pajun, Fifth Ghost, 7 Kills, Yutan, and Inghua. These 7 people were already dead, but their soul forces were still there. They formed a strong impact on Lin Jun's spirit. If Lin Jun's spirit wasn't strong enough, he would have been entangled by this murderous aura. Even if he didn't die, he would have become an idiot. In an instant, Lin Jun had nowhere to retreat. An unprecedented crisis struck. Lin Jun, who was in a desperate situation, had nowhere to go. If his spirit retreated, he would be dead for sure. These 7 bastards actually stored their soul forces in this picture. But do you think you can kill me like this? If you want to kill me, I'll kill you first. His blood was stimulated. Lin Jun resolutely started a life-and-death battle with the soul forces of the 7 malevolent stars. Lin Jun didn't dare to say anything else, but when it came to soul forces, willpower, and spirit, Lin Jun had never been afraid of anyone. This was an extremely tough battle. Lin Jun couldn't remember how many times he had wandered on the edge of life and death. He had forgotten his family, friends, and his wife who had just left him. He had forgotten the time and everything. Sitting cross-legged on a parasol tree, the emerald light around his body kept flashing. He had almost become one with the parasol tree. After Lin Jun's all-out transformation, Feng Chi Star now had flowers, trees, atmosphere, and water. There was even a star a few hundred stars away from here, which made Feng Chi's star have the alternation of day and night and the four seasons. Spring had come. The wind blew, the grass grew, and the clouds rolled. Lin Jun's body was bathed in multicolored light, looking at the rising sun. Summer had come. Flowers bloomed. Wind and rain intersected. Lin Jun bathed in the rain, looking at the rainbow across the sky. Autumn had come. The autumn air was crisp, and the grass and trees were yellow. Lin Jun looked through the parasol tree, looking at the stars in the sky. Winter had come. Snow swirled in the air, and the cold wind whistled. On the withered branches, Lin Jun looked like a snowman. Day after day, year after year, Lin Jun's body was covered in dust. He was motionless on the parasol tree. Only the occasional flash of emerald light on his body proved that he was still alive. The dimensional universe had been closed by him, and no one could contact him. It was as if he had disappeared from the world. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. Many things had happened in these 5 years. Of course, the most important thing was the Pillar of Life incident in the Fire Qilin Empire, the Sanjiang Federation, and the Sky River Empire. Before this opportunity to go to the primordial realm was kept secret, only circulating among the World King powerhouses. However, it was unknown who leaked this information, but the Pillar of Life was no longer a secret. The Heavenly Gate also entered people's sights. Only now did people know that outside the vast universe, there was an even more mysterious and vast world. Perhaps the primordial realm might not be as big as the universe, but because most of the primordial realm was land, oceans, mountains, and rivers, it was not like the void everywhere in the universe. So, in reality, the primordial realm was definitely much more massive than the universe. According to various legends and experiences, people also knew that going to the primordial realm was not a privilege reserved for world kings. At the Heavenly Gate, anyone above the star realm could choose to pass through. After jumping through the Heavenly Gate, they would reach the primordial realm. Although martial artists of other realms were not as strong as world kings, when they jumped through the Heavenly Gate, the pressure on the Heavenly Gate would be much less. World kings were stronger, but they had to bear more pressure. However, those at or below the star realm did not have the qualifications to pass. The minimum requirement was to be at the black hole realm. For a time, the primordial realm's benefits were praised to the heavens. Cultivation was fast there, and there were many resources. The men were handsome, and the women were beautiful. Even a pig could cultivate to the world king level. Those with similar aptitudes could even break through to the world king level and become immortal. No matter how high one's aptitude was, as long as one reached the black hole realm or above, almost everyone would come here to try. This was the golden opportunity to break through the Heavenly Gate, and countless geniuses had emerged. In particular, those who succeeded became figures who created history and were admired by countless people. Chapter 584. On the parasol tree, Lin Jun's body glowed with an emerald green light. In these 5 years, even for Lin Jun's willpower, it was a great torture. He did not relax at all. He was constantly fighting against the baleful aura of the 7 malevolent stars, and did not have a moment to rest. But in these 5 years, Lin Jun's mental power had also been greatly tempered. After one's mental power reached the emerald aura level, it was extremely difficult to advance even a little bit. But in this situation, after 5 years of tempering, Lin Jun's mental power broke through from the early emerald aura level to the middle emerald aura level, reaching the late emerald aura level. In his spiritual sea, the emerald aura level was 60%, and the azure level was 40%. With Lin Jun's breakthrough, the emerald aura level's mental power reached 70%. Relying on his tyrannical mental power, Lin Jun's battle with the 7 malevolent stars had finally reached a decisive moment. Black Hole Devour. Lin Jun had never used this trump card. In the past, it was because he was not confident, but now it was possible. The malevolent star chart glowed brightly, and the 7 malevolent stars screamed miserably. Finally, they were unable to resist Lin Jun's power and were directly sucked into the black hole. All of the baleful energy had been exhausted in the 5 years of tug-of-war with Lin Jun. They turned into 7 stars and entered Lin Jun's dark star space. The 7 malevolent stars were not virtual, but real. This time, even Lin Jun was caught off guard. He originally thought that the malevolent stars would dissipate, but he did not expect that they would enter the dark star space instead of his Dantian's Chi Si. Originally, Lin Jun's dark star space only had the dark star, but this time, 7 stars suddenly entered. They were arranged in the shape of the Big Dipper, causing Lin Jun's dark star space to be somewhat overwhelmed. Rumble. The dark star space began a round of crazy expansion. Lin Jun's head was dripping with sweat. The dark star space was already a part of his body. Such intense movements would naturally bring discomfort to his body. Not good. If this continues, the dark star space will explode. The dark star is just a planet, while the 7 great ominous stars are 7 stars. The astral force brought by the 7 stars will definitely cause the space to explode. I will definitely die here. Although the power of the 7 stars was as vast as the ocean, Lin Jun could not use it. Helpless, Lin Jun thought of the ominous star map. He directly grabbed the ominous star map in his hand. Before he could do anything, the ominous star map had already escaped into space. A bright light flashed through the dark star space. The ominous star diagram shattered into 7 pieces, covering the 7 great ominous stars. The 7 stars that were wreaking havoc instantly retracted their star power. They were no longer as bright as before. Instead, they dimmed down and looked even worse than ordinary planets. Most of the scattered astral power returned to the 7 malevolent stars. Meanwhile, the danger of Lin Jun's dark star space collapsing had finally been removed. Although it was still expanding, it was gradually calming down. Lin Jun leaned against the branch of a parasol tree. His clothes were drenched in sweat. This time, he could be considered to have escaped from a great calamity. He never thought that after spending 5 years to eliminate the 7 malevolent stars' soul forces, he would still almost die at their hands. That was close. This Rahu must have obtained the ominous star map. He must have wanted to refine it one by one and form a space similar to mine. Not the dark star space, but the 7 great ominous star space. If he could refine the 7 great ominous stars one by one, then his astral force would definitely reach an unfathomable realm. Lin Jun inwardly cried out in relief. He was not an ominous star and could not walk the same path as Rahu. However, he had the dark star space and was 1 step ahead of Rahu. However, due to his lack of experience, he had almost made a huge mistake. If it weren't for the ominous star map, he would have been finished today. After calming down, Lin Jun turned his attention to the dark star space. Within the space, the 7 great ominous stars no longer emitted light and heat. They were completely isolated by the ominous star map. What Lin Jun needed to do next was to unseal one of the ominous stars when the dark star space expanded to a certain extent. Only then would he be able to obtain a large amount of astral force. If he could unseal all of the 7 great ominous stars, Lin Jun did not know how much his astral force would increase. Of course, he needed to wait for the space to expand to a certain extent. The expansion of the space just now made Lin Jun feel that he was not too far away from unsealing the first ominous star, Mars. Just now, when the 7 great ominous stars entered, their powerful firepower almost roasted all of the plants on the dark star. Now, only the starfruit tree and the cloud contact vine survived. The other plants died instantly. The dark star space was like Earth. The 7 great ominous stars were like the 7 suns. One sun was already hot enough. If there were 7 suns, then there would be no life on Earth. The only way was to make the suns move further away from Earth. Only by moving further away and not affecting the life on Earth would it be considered success. This required Lin Jun to continuously cultivate and expand the dark star space. However, although more than half of the plants on the dark star space had died, it was not without benefits. In addition to the expansion of the space, The astral force released by the 7 great ominous stars allowed Lin Jun's dark star space to experience a substantial increase. It went from the late stage of the Mesozoic era to the peak in an instant. This increase of more than a small level increased Lin Jun's astral force by 2,000 points. In the past 5 years, Lin Jun's astral force had reached 12,000 points. His doppelganger's astral force had reached 9,000 points. After transferring his astral force had reached 21,000 points. This time, the increase of 2,000 points came from both his body and doppelganger. After transferring his astral force, Lin Jun's total astral force had reached 25,000 points. Such strength had already surpassed Luo Ho and Peacock. If he were to return to the nebulous stage arena now, Lin Jun was confident that he could face any nebulous stage opponent. Of course, this is only limited to the new territories, not the masters of the Yuan realm. After hearing about the Yuan realm, Lin Jun also had a desire in his heart. Within the Yuan realm's nebulous stage, only those with astral force exceeding 30,000 points can be considered a genius. Those with astral force below 30,000 points are considered mediocre. He, Lin Jun, will not be a mediocre person. He wants to be a genius among geniuses. Although the matter of the 7 great ominous stars was dangerous, it also gave Lin Jun a huge opportunity. Unsealing the power of the 7 great stars is Lin Jun's goal. After recuperating in the chaotic star river for about 3 days, Lin Jun stood up, leaned against the parasol tree for a while, then turned and left. He hasn't been home for many years, and he also misses home. In the deep universe, a fleet was slowly approaching the solar system. This fleet was marked as coming from the Indigo Bay star. It was a fleet of merchant ships. Today, in the Sun Territory, and even in the entire Sky River Empire, Earth has become an extremely famous place. Not only because of the heroic figure Lin Jun, but also because as the capital planet of the Sun Territory, Earth itself is already an important planet. Every day, countless passenger and merchant ships from various planets travel to and from the solar system. Mars, which is relatively close to Earth, has been transformed and has become an important cargo distribution center. As for Earth itself, it was a tourist planet with beautiful scenery. The destination of this fleet is Mars. When they crossed the Pluto area, a signal came in asking them to accept infrared scanning. The spaceships released their defense systems, allowing the inspection signal to enter. Soon, everyone's information was scanned, confirming that they are merchant ships from the Indigo Bay star. There was no problem with their personal information, so they passed the inspection and were allowed to pass. "Boss, will there be any problems?" A red-faced man asked the black-clothed man next to him. The black-clothed man seems to be the captain of the fleet. At this moment, he nodded calmly. "Of course, there won't be any problems. I have come and gone from the Sun Territory dozens of times, and every inspection is the same. As long as it is confirmed, there won't be a second inspection." "That's good. We have been waiting for this day for many days. We can't make any mistakes at this critical moment. Don't worry, we all went to the Indigo Bay star early to do business. There's no problem with our identities. It's also thanks to the Domain King's clever plan. We learned about the conflict between Tianzi and Lin Jun. He arranged this move. It's been almost 10 years. It's finally time for us to play. As long as we reach the Mars area, we will immediately accelerate into the parallel universe and reach Earth in 1 minute. At that time, Lin Jun's family, his parents, his beautiful girl group, and a few children will be our ghosts. We can't be too careless. After all, this is the Sun Territory, and the strength of Lin Jun's guards is not weak. Boss, we have investigated his guards. There are only 2 or 3 people in the nebulous stage, and they have broken through not long ago. There is nothing worth mentioning. We have 20 people in the nebulous stage here. When the time comes, we don't even need to use tactics. We will sweep everything. Yes, tell the brothers to be alert. Lin Jun's family. Don't kill them if you can. Once they are dead, they have no value. If Lin Jun is still alive, we will have a bargaining chip. I know, but boss, I think you're being too cautious. There hasn't been any news from Lin Jun for 5 years. Ever since he entered the Chaos Star River, apart from a short period of time when he opened his dimensional universe, he hasn't opened it even once in the past 5 years. Do you think he wouldn't contact his family if he was still alive? I think there is an 80 to 90% chance that he died in there. It's better to be safe than sorry. It's always good to be extra prepared. But remember, you need to use all your strength to fight a lion, and use all your strength to fight a rabbit. Don't give the other party any chance. All right, I'll inform everyone to get ready. The fleet moved forward slowly, and nothing out of the ordinary could be seen. Although they encountered several patrolling spaceships along the way, they did not interfere with their progress. Soon, they were near Mars, and they were very close to the place where they used to unload the cargo. Everyone, get ready, accelerate. Enter the parallel universe. Target Earth, Ice City, Base City, City in the Sky, Lin Jun's house. The hidden engines in the 5 spaceships immediately activated and accelerated at the same time. Seeing that the 5 cargo ships suddenly lost control and headed straight in the direction of Earth, the alarm on Mars immediately sounded.